Before we get down and dirty in the nitty-gritty of this here episode, I'd like to invite you to check in for a very special bonus show this Friday with Lily Kunin, number 181, The Future of Urban Biohacking and Wellness. Then next Tuesday, we'll be dropping a very special Christmas Day show with yours truly live at Rama, New York City. This is the High Love Experience, part of a workshop I gave recently at Rama to a room full of Lifestylist podcast listeners. So if you were there, you know I promised to turn this into a show. If you weren't, now you have the opportunity to catch some of the magic next Tuesday, the High Love Experience. Make sure you subscribe to this podcast so you don't miss those two special episodes or any to follow.
The Lifestylist, episode 180, featuring Lacy Phillips.
I'm Luke Story, a former celebrity fashion stylist and founder of School of Style. For the past 20 years, I've been relentlessly dedicated to my deepest passion, designing the ultimate lifestyle based on the most powerful principles of health and spirituality. The Lifestylist Podcast is a show dedicated to sharing my discoveries and the experts behind them with you. Get ready, I'm about to drop some very valuable information on you right now about my friends over at Alitura Naturals. Now, if you listen to the show, you're probably really into health, so you're very careful about what you drink, what you eat, what you put into your body. But what many people I find are totally unaware of is how important it is that you pay attention to what you put on your body. Your skin is your largest organ, and you should frankly just treat it like another mouth because that's what it is. When you put skin creams and lotions and all of the things that you put on your skin to smell and feel nice, your skin is literally eating them up. So that's why it's really important that you put the most pure and effective ingredients that you can on your skin. And that's why my buddy Andy Nilo over at Alitura Naturals is one of my favorite human beings on the planet, and why I use their products almost exclusively every single day. Now, straight up, my favorites are the night cream. I put that stuff around my eyes every night. I mean, straight up, like a couple years, I'm going to be 50. I'm not playing around. I'm trying to take care of my skin. And then when I feel like I need some deep cleaning and I really just want to tighten things up, I use their clay mask, which is sort of their flagship product. And then I use their face lotion every single morning. So I want you guys to go over to alituranaturals.com and check out what they've got to offer. If you use the code Lifestylist over there, you're going to save 20% off. And their stuff is very high quality. It's top of the line. So this is not like some cheap, like watery lotion. This is real deal stuff. It's made with the most high quality products imaginable. These guys are very scrutinizing about what goes in the products. So when you get that 20% off using the code Lifestylist over at alituranaturals.com, it's really going to matter. So don't just care about what you put in your body. Pay attention to what you put on your body. And if you want anti-aging, brightened complexion, detoxification of your skin, removal of blemishes, and insane hydration and youthful looking appearance, you want to go over to alituranaturals.com and use the code Lifestylist to save 20%. I love running my own media company known as the Lifestylist Podcast and all the different forms of media that are born out of that. However, I'm going to be straight up with you right now. What I don't love is learning how to use all of the productivity tools and software that are necessary to keep this thing on the rails. So that's why I love Skillshare, and I'm super stoked to tell you guys about it. If you go to Skillshare.com/lifestylist, you're going to get 2 months of over 20,000 online classes for just 99 cents. So I'll use this to learn how to do better lighting on my videos, or take an iPhone photography class, or do really geeky stuff like just learning how to crush using Trello or Evernote or some of the project management software that's necessary for me to know how to use. Now, as a podcaster, I really just want to have fantastic conversations with people and call it a day. But when you're running your own business, it doesn't really work like that. Even if I can hire out a lot of the more admin heavy tasks, I still have to have a basic understanding of how this stuff works. So Skillshare is awesome for me because I love to learn and I love shortcuts. I'm all about saving time and energy. So if you go to Skillshare.com/lifestylist, they're going to hook you up with 2 months of unlimited classes for just 99 cents. Again, that's Skillshare.com/lifestylist to get your 2 months for 99 cents. Go check it out. Get your learn on. Welcome one and welcome all to the Lifestylist Podcast. I'm Luke Story, broadcasting from Hollywood, California, and I'm here to bring you a show on manifesting money. That's right, cash money, green, cheddar, flow, ducats, Benjamins. That's what it's all about as we move into 2019. I've not done a show specifically on this topic. We've talked about manifestation. We've talked about being in the flow, the law of attraction, some of these sort of nebulous terms for getting what we want. But in today's episode with Lacy Phillips from Free+Native, we just get real and raw about the cash. How are we going to unblock ourselves and manifest the money that we desire? This is a very special episode to me because it's something I'm really working on right now. You might have noticed a trend as you listen to the show, if you've been here before, that we tend to dive into topics and subjects that I'm currently kind of working with, and that's what I'm working with right now. Another thing I'm working with is achieving my goal of 2018 to surpass 2 million downloads of this podcast. Now, I just logged into my server and tallied up the downloads thus far in the first 2 years of the show here, and we are at 1,907,909 downloads. So we've got just under 100,000 downloads to go by the end of the month in order to reach that goal. Do you know what you can do to help me manifest that goal? Super simple. Just share this episode with a couple friends. Very easy ask, and one that will be very much appreciated. So who's this Lacy Phillips character on the show today? Well, if you've been listening for a while, you know that this is her second appearance, and I was so impressed with Lacy the first time she was on, talking about manifesting and laws of attraction and things like that, but not specifically about money, just kind of about life in general. But I was so impressed with her that it's like I wanted to record one right away, but I don't know, that's weird. You can't really do that. You can't have someone on 2 weeks in a row, can you? Or maybe you can. I guess you can do whatever you want. Anyway, it took about a year to get her back on. And, oh man, amazing stuff. So if you're not familiar with Miss Phillips, here's what she's all about. She's the founder and lead editor of Free+Native. She's a manifestation advisor specializing in unblocking beliefs of unworthiness and expanding into alignment with what one desires. Lacy does not consider herself a spiritual teacher of sorts, but rather a student of life who was born with the gift of being able to read energetic patterns and remove blocks for people. And let me tell you what, that's what she does. I learned so much it's not even that I learned so much in this episode. I would say that this episode was transformational. Yes, I'm going to be that bold. Here's what we talk about in the show: how to declare to the universe your intentions for wealth without feeling totally superficial and shallow, something I've struggled with a lot, as you'll learn in this episode. Why thinking positive is actually a completely terrible idea. The fulfillment and peace you can experience by living a surrendered life. The dangers of I'll be happy when syndrome. Lacy's 3 major manifestation pointers. The importance of embracing and accepting our negative thoughts and triggers and how to use them as a mirror and a roadmap into our subconscious. The ego shell of pain, shame, trauma, and how to release yourself from it. Using the highly activated energy of envy to manifest what we want. Why we need to release guilt tied to the things we want on this material plane. The fact that financial manifestation is far easier than we think. The importance of having people who are expanders in our life. How you can be both spiritual and financially successful, the core connection between love and money, and finally, saying F no to anything that doesn't feel like a hell yes. I love that one. I'm setting that as one of my intentions for 2019. Say no more. Luke, I'm telling myself right now, no. I'm saying no to everything. I've been saying yes to everything for 2 years. And I haven't even built my damn new website that was like my goal for 2018. It was a fail because I said yes too much. So I'm learning so much from Lacy in this episode. Here's what's up. She's got a badass course. And you know, like many people when they come on the show, of course, they're promoting something. But when they promote something, I always request that we get you guys a discount. And so I've been going through her course that we talk about in the show called Unblocked Opulence, which is all about money. And I'll tell you what, it is badass. And I highly recommend that you check it out. By the end of this interview, you're going to be like, where do I sign up for her stuff? It's a no-brainer. Very powerful and very different than a lot of these kind of things. You know, the law of attraction, The Secret, all of the sort of the staples of manifestation. I'm finding this to be more powerful. And it's funny, you know, actually, I don't know if I was going to tell the story, but I texted Lacy. Texted, is that the word? I sent Lacy a text the day after we recorded this because I went down to my mailbox and I got a totally random, unexpected check for like $3,500 that I had no idea. I mean, it's like I didn't even know it was coming. It could have gotten lost in the mail, and I would have never missed it. Put it that way. And I thought, hot damn. Now one could say, well, that check was already in the mail. You know, it was down at the post office by the time I recorded with Lacy, and then it showed up the next day. So it wasn't like it happened because of that. But I had been doing her course, and I had been working on my own internal feeling of being worthy and deserving of financial success, and really working on some of those blocks. And in this episode, you'll see what my particular blocks are, and you might relate to them. So if you want to start digging down to some of the nitty-gritty stuff, I'm just going to straight up highly recommend that you check out her course. You can go to freeandnative.com/Luke. That's freeandnative.com/Luke. Use the code Luke at checkout and save 10% off. Her courses are super affordable too. That's the funny thing. Like a lot of online courses are $900. I mean, like her stuff is very affordable and very powerful. And it only takes like, I don't know, I think I do 20 minutes a day or something like that. So it was pretty easy to fit into my life. So that's freeandnative.com/Luke. So that's what's up, man. We're coming close to the end of 2018 here. It's been a great year. I'm super excited for 2019. Oh my God, I have so many cool things coming up. I'm about to depart in a couple days to Florida to go to Tony Robbins' Date with Destiny, which I'm nervous about just because there's so much fist pumping and techno played. They're really kind of like overwhelming if you don't like a lot of loud noises, which I don't. So I'm nervous about that, but I'm excited to expand. I'm doing Lacy's course. I'm headed to a place called Rhythmia in Costa Rica for a massive awakening. You're going to hear more about that later in January. And so I don't know, man. I'm hitting the ground running even as I close out this year. And what a treat to be able to sit down again with Lacy Phillips and really get down to the nitty-gritty of what it means to have financial abundance. So I'm going to put some good intentions out for you that you've been abundant this year and that the coming year brings even more of that to fruition. So sit back, relax, and enjoy this financially abundant conversation with Lacy Phillips. So here I sit once again with Lacy Phillips. Welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me again. I'm so excited. Yeah, I'm really stoked to get into this because I know you've been wanting to talk about this one for a while.
It's funny how sometimes shows appear when it's a topic that I'm particularly interested in.
Yeah.
You know, I've had a lot of guests kind of come to the radar over the last year or so about relationships and intimacy and such things because I've really been taking a look at those things with myself and hopefully growing a lot in that area. And now I'm feeling much more complete there. Like I'm on the right track for sure.
It sounds like it to me.
Yes, thank you. And
yeah, look at, oh my God, are you getting red?
I am. Just, God damn it. Now I'm going to turn the cameras off. Oh. Don't watch this on YouTube, podcast listeners. So life's going well there. And now I'm really looking at like, God damn it, I want to buy a house.
Yeah.
You know, there's things I want. I want to get out of this city and live somewhere where there's some more trees. And although I have been successful by my standards in terms of like where I came from and the odds of me making anything of myself, let alone probably staying above ground.
Same.
We're pretty low. So I'm winning there. But I'm just experiencing lately this feeling like, why don't I just have tons of cash? Why am I even like on Zillow going, oh, I like that house, but I can't afford it? Like, no, I'm done. I just can't think and believe that way. So we're going to dive into some of this stuff.
Great.
Because I know this is an area, one of your areas of expertise.
Totally.
You have programs about it and all kinds of stuff. So we're gonna get down today. And it's your second appearance here, but it's my first show really where I've focused on money.
Mm-hmm.
And I really want to get into all of the sort of shameful ideas that many of us hold around. Even when I say like, yeah, I want to be rich, I feel like
step one, man.
You know what I'm saying? I'm
totally.
like, oh my God, I'm a dick. I'm vapid and materialistic. That's what my mind says.
Completely.
Like there's something wrong with wanting to just, be comfortable.
Absolutely.
So we're gonna get down. But first and foremost, what's new and exciting in your life right now? What has got you super lit up?
I feel like everything. It's so crazy. So as a company, we just bought a retreat house up in Mariposa, which is right outside of Yosemite. It's my hometown. And so we basically there's a model that we're going to probably have 3 within this year. So this one, and we're looking in Scotland for the next one because I really fell in love with Scotland. So oddly, like my whole body had been siren there for 6 months. And then I was like, my fiance was like, where are we going over the New Year's? And I was like, Scotland. He's like, who the fuck goes to Scotland? And like in the winter, why would we do that?
I would tend to agree with that, having been there in a few falls.
Yes. Yeah. So I went and I had the most visceral, like soul reaction to it. I didn't want to leave. I've never felt so connected to a place. And so I'm going to look there early in the year for the next one. We're about to do a really exciting relaunch and rebrand in the new year. So everybody stay tuned for that. It's a surprise and it'll be really fun, very accessible. What else is going on? I mean, that was really fucking cool. That as a woman started and founded company out of thin air that's now a woman-run company, I just bought my first house all by myself.
Dope.
Not married. Totally. I really believe in segregation and finances when you're working on money, and we'll get into that soon. So yeah, it just feels really exciting. Like I have a team now. I think we're a team of 6, expanding rapidly at this point, and it's just
that's
really
so crazy.
Really
so you've
cool.
grown a lot since it was a year ago or so we did our first interview, right?
Absolutely.
Wow, that's so cool. Well, the great thing about that is that you get to have that experience, but it also serves your brand because you're going like you're what do they call that? Walking the talk.
Walking the talk.
You know what I'm saying? Like you're not living in a homeless shelter going like, I'll teach you how to manifest money.
I always think of the dad in Little Miss Sunshine. That there's so many people that are like, I have a system, or whatever. Yeah. And it's like, no, I do the exact same work every day that I teach people that they're doing. I'm doing it along with them. I always like to say that I'm always going to be someone in pursuit. It's never a complete picture, and I'm still slaying all of my demons as well because this work is all subconscious based. It's all based in neuroscience. And then it's just my freakish channeling energetic gifts that understand energy well. So like if this happens, this will follow. I just have that weird gift to channel. So I'm right there alongside everybody, and it's a really fun journey. And also getting to watch my community and the people that I used, because I don't take clients anymore. It's just too big and it was too exhausting on my nervous system. So to watch the clients that I did work with that have totally excelled, and it's just a really fun journey.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's fun to watch. It's interesting with teaching something that you also practice, because I think, for lack of a better term, I'm a teacher of sorts, although I have my toe in the water in a lot of different areas. I don't know that I've nailed any of them 100%, but one thing that I get caught on sometimes is like, because so much of the content that I put out is about health.
Yeah.
And when I have physical problems, like just today, I made this great, like the most amazing, powerful superfood smoothie ever. And it like gave me indigestion.
Yeah,
I was like, why do I have heartburn? This is so annoying. I just ate like the healthiest thing ever. I'm the healthiest person ever. And so it's like that perfectionism of going, oh man, I have to be like perfect in this area because I'm telling so many other people
totally
the right way to do things and all that stuff.
I think so many people get tripped up on that. And like, I just want to tell people who are listening, the world needs you right now. Just like it needs you, it needs me, it needs everybody listening to really show up. And whatever your gift is, the world needs it to come out and to help serve, especially in this like division. And you can feel the social political climate. I mean, the tension's so strong. It's like, we all kind of need to start owning that we have gifts and we need to honor it and show up. And everybody's human. So everybody's a work in progress. I don't believe in the whole guru mentality. It's just not my thing whatsoever. I think the real power is within ourselves. Each one of us, we are all born teachers. We all have gifts. So I think really letting that veil down, and really getting into the vulnerability of who we are, the authenticity of who we are, our vulnerability of shadow and our shortcomings. So I'm so glad that you're admitting that, because I'll fucking tell you now, any guru I've ever met doesn't have it all figured out.
Well, it's funny, my buddy Elliot, who's over here and he's almost like co-producer of the show. No one knows Elliot, but he has an amazing clothing line called Stoned Immaculate. You can find them on Instagram. He's an amazing designer, old friend of mine from the fashion industry. But we were talking last night, and we're in a 3-way call with another buddy of ours, and our other buddy, David, was like, man, Luke, and I guess I kind of quasi-mentor him. He's a bit younger than I, and so I know a couple things he might not know yet. But it's like, man, I've been like slipping into old patterns and, people pleasing a little, and I'm like afraid of people and stuff, and it's kind of freaking me out. And I was like, dude, just for good measure, every couple months, I'll roll down the freeway and just be like, fuck you, and just flip someone off, I don't want to get too perfect, too spiritual. And then I repent, and I bless them.
All the things,
But I used to live like that every day. I was just a complete...
Like toxic cycle.
Oh, yeah. I just hated myself. I hated the world. I was just crazy, negative, angry, fearful, just a train wreck of a man. Little boy, actually, in a man's body for a long time. But even those of us that are working on things, and I've been meditating for 20-something years.
Totally, yeah.
And it's like, there are still those times where it's like, nope, it just goes up. And it's like that little crank, and it's just so fast.
You know what I like to say?
It just is what it is.
It's so important, though. And this will pivot into manifestation a little bit, because it's really important. I might have even said this on the last show, but like you can see the channel is all the messages are coming through that I have to say. But like the really big thing I like to tell people, especially with the whole old paradigm of manifestation, the whole think positive, visualize, and it's even when you text me or I text you and you were like, I'm going down the rabbit hole of this. I was like, don't. I'm like, we'll get you figured out. But it is so important to embrace our negative thoughts, embrace those triggers that are popping up for us, because they truly are, I believe, again, for anybody who's just tuning in for the first time and didn't hear me on the last episode, my paradigm of manifestation is very different. I consider it like the new paradigm. And it actually works. And the reason being is I don't believe that we manifest from our thoughts. I believe we manifest from our subconscious beliefs that were imprinted from 0 to like 25, if I'm being generous. It's all the modeling that we were programmed through, all of the, parental, media, societal, cultural, whatever, you name it, that we witnessed. So we're constantly projecting from the subconscious, right? That imprintation. Thinking positive is actually like one of the most detrimental things to focus on in, I think, spiritual development in general and manifestation. You will get there. People will get there. But I think being able to really accept fully those triggers that pop up are one of the biggest gifts, because it's exactly what shows us where we're blocked somewhere, right? Because that's always our shit where we're flipping somebody off. It's really never anybody else's real shit. And we are attracting experiences that are literally just here to mirror us and be like, yo, you have, because I think I talked about this the last time, that the universe's only intention for us is to get back into our most whole, worthy selves. And what that really is our true authenticity. We were born as, at birth, we were born completely conscious. One, pure love, like no capacity to understand that there's anything such as division or classism or anything like that. We were just one, right? So I believe that we build up this whole onion shell of pain, shame, trauma, blocks that we lead with. It's the ego shell. So I believe the universe's only intention is to get us back into that oneness, that wholeness and authenticity. So it's guiding us, right? The universe never punishes us. So when we have those moments of like flipping someone off, that's just a mirror coming at us to be like, hey, listen, there are things that want to come through. You need to use that as your roadmap to get down into your subconscious, unlock it, because wherever we're manifesting in our lives means that we grew up feeling high self-worth on a subconscious level in that area. So we were reinforced that we're good enough there, we're worthy enough, we're capable of it. We saw to believe that such was possible. Where we aren't manifesting on a subconscious level, where we manifest everything, is because it was reinforced pain, shame, not good enough, unworthy. So that flip-off moment, everybody here who's like trying to become a spiritual perfectionist, take a deep breath, because that flip off moment's really the thing that's going to help you unblock what's stopping you from manifesting the thing you want. So really starting to be able to, and I know you were using yours just as an analogy to be like, I don't want to become perfect, but I think for the person who's not as far on the path or as developed, it's so important for them to know those are your golden moments. Like the shitty feelings, the triggers coming up, that's what's going to help you the quickest unlock to start to connect with what you want.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Some years ago when I was in that phase where I was really, really angry all the time and hated people just for being alive, I used to have a lot of, you're in LA, right? And I used to have a lot of road rage. And this was, Elliot reminded me last night, I used to like throw bolts and coins and stuff out of my car at people. And then eventually I graduated up to like bottle rockets and firecrackers, where I would like shoot a bottle rocket at someone next to me. And I was like a real like double-fisted F you. Try that on you. You honk at someone and then you're like, God damn, you just shot a bottle rocket at me. Who is this psycho?
Totally.
But one of the things that used to really get me going, really pissed, is if, because I had, I had no money.
Yeah.
I had like a 95 Nissan Maxima. That was the last car I had before I was a stylist and I had enough money for a nicer car. No offense if you're driving a Nissan Maxima. Mm-hmm. But it was not 1995 when I got it. You know what I'm saying? Quite a few years later. Yeah. Burgundy, but I had a system in the trunk. You know what I mean? I was making it as dope as I could. But anyway, what used to really piss me off is if some dude around my age in like a Mercedes or a BMW came up on me and tried to like beat me and get ahead of me. Oh my God, that used to piss me off so bad. And of course, I didn't have the self-awareness at the time, but like, it was triggering my less than, feelings of I'm not worth it. And so I hate that person because they've figured out something that I haven't. But the driving thing, it's funny you say like bringing the shadow to light. The driving thing is really when I started having my spiritual awakening, because I'd be driving around listening to Eckhart Tolle, Power of Now on CD, or Wayne Dyer, or, all this. And Stuart Wilde, he was another one of my favorites, little-known British teacher. But I'd be listening to this stuff, and they'd be talking about your thoughts and talking about your ego and all that. And then I would see what they were talking about.
Yeah, you could physically,
in real time.
Because you're listening to the audiobook.
Like, and when you find the anger come up to you, I was like, oh my God, that's happening to me right now. And those are the beginning stages of really starting to see that, and then that's the first place that I started to see those things fall away. And next thing you know, I'm driving around like a freaking old lady, like I'm just super love vibes. I'm the Dalai Lama of the 405.
You're like the only Dalai Lama of the 405.
But it was that it was having the awareness of it. It's almost like when I become aware of something like that, then it dissipates. It's like this phantom, and you sort of poke a hole in it and it deflates completely, just from having the awareness. But like you said, and what I want to get into is these things, and I just did a bunch of your work.
I know, I can't wait to hear what happened. Just because you've only tried the first day, I want to see what's coming up.
I went pretty deep. It was great. But when things are subconscious and you don't have a system or framework by which to bring them to light, then you're just operating from those.
It's a loop.
You're just on autopilot, right? And so you don't have that thing like, oh God, I just screamed at someone. That's not cool. Let me look at why that's happening. But if I'm like, for me, I'll do shit like I don't return someone's email because it's a really scary opportunity, because it's going to make me show up and like have to be the biggest me. Yep. So I'm like, I'll just deal with that later and I'll brush it to the side, when that's the thing I've really been wanting.
Totally.
That's the subconscious stuff. It's like, why would I not make that my priority today? Instead, I'm like, I better water my plants. Yeah. And like,
because I have control over that.
Yeah, it's like I really should dust a little bit, and I'll do productive kind of busy work in lieu of the big thing that's like I could face rejection or or face success, which is maybe the most terrifying thing. Before we get into that though, I get excited when I talk to you. Well, two things I
want to unpack what you said, because I think it's a great teaching point for anybody who's listening. When you say, like, I would see the person go by, the nicer car and, finally starting to find the awareness, or at the time you didn't have it. What I do like to tell people, because I think this is so liberating. So in my model of manifestation, I learned that visualization isn't like the biggest key to creating space for what we want to come through, because I fucking did it till I was blue in the face and it was not bringing what I want. I would be like a waitress at the Laugh Factory on Sunset, visualizing my Malibu home with my my sauna and pool and it wasn't coming. But what I did start to realize when I started to unpack this formula, when I threw all of the old spiritual bypass manifestation rhetoric out of the way, I started to realize that the way that we actually manifest greater than where we are now, where we create the space on the subconscious level, is called expanders. That's what I call them. So what that means is, right, the retina is our first processor of our subconscious. So when we see to believe through someone we identify with who has what we want, or they're successful in what we want, or they embody what we want, they actually are opening and creating space for us in our subconscious for what we want to come through. So what I want to tell anybody who might be listening who is like, oh, I get so triggered by envy and I don't even know what's happening, or some, especially in social media age where it's like, oh, they have everything, or I'm not good enough. And people will come to me and they're like, I can't really find expanders. If you're fucking envious of anybody in your life, there's your one expander, like in this moment, because what's really happening there is what you're seeing. It's just very simple subconscious and psychology and shadow work. Truthfully, what you're witnessing is somebody, when you're envious, they're the person, the only reason why we're envious is because they have something that we want, we recognize. So if we can start to reframe that and actually use that energy, that, because that's another form of like very activated energy, using that to be like, what is it about them that I want? How can I incorporate it in my life right now? And start to switch that around, because they are the person we are witnessing that we can possibly have what they have. So I just want to tell that for anybody listening and give that
That's
licensing
dope.
is super important.
Yeah.
I think. And then, well, let's get into what you're going to say, because I think it'll pivot.
Okay, it will. But first off, curveball. What's one thing that when you're being interviewed that you wish people would ask you that they never ask you?
Whew, what do I wish people would ask me? I don't know what the answer with that, because I'm not really focused on me. It's kind of like when I used to act back in the day when I'm doing an interview. I'm so presently in the moment, even though, because I did the Meisner technique. So it's all about your partner, you know, like what's your partner moment to moment to moment so that you're out of your mind. And so I never really think about that. And even after an interview's over and stuff, I'm always like, I think exactly what was supposed to be said is said. So I don't even know what my answer would be to that.
Well, that's a good answer.
I wish I had more.
No, it's fine. That's a good answer. It's called not having expectations or attachments and just going with the flow. When
I show up, all I care about is I hope that I'm serving in the highest possible way, reaching the most amount of people to show them that they can empower themselves to have anything they want.
Love that.
That's my only intention.
Okay, so before we get into the real secret sauce here and the magic, and this is probably another one of those blocks, and maybe we can unpack that, is in a certain spiritual paradigm, and this is true of many teachings, is that it's considered, I don't want to say negative, but like a lower energy state to be in craving and wanting, right? Like, I want money, I want this house, and I'm visualizing it, and when I get that, I'm going to be happy. Yeah. The whole thing that leads into, I'll be happy when. Like, right now, I got a dope apartment. Totally. I love my apartment. Everyone comes in here, they're like, oh my God, this is amazing. I sit in here and I'm like, this is cool. I'm grateful for it. But then I'm on Zillow going like, that house. Yeah. If I had that house, I would have my ice bath, my hot tub, I have the whole thing mapped out. And I'm like, I would be even more happy because of that house. And then I find myself in this conundrum of dissatisfaction rather than just, you know where I'm going with this.
Totally know
like
where you're going.
The balance between like being grateful for where you are and just kind of resting within that and being cool and knowing that your true contentment really comes from inside and the connection you have with people and love and all those non-material satisfactions. And then so many of us get caught up in that, like desire and wanting and craving, and then the materialism that comes out of that, if what you think is going to save you is a Porsche or a Chanel bag or whatever.
Totally.
That was a very sexist way to explain that.
No, man.
I'm assuming all women want a Chanel bag and all men want the Porsche. Let's just put it out there.
No, it could be like, I'm about to go buy a Porsche when I leave here today. Yeah, I need to go get one. And I don't know, I could argue all men want a Chanel bag and want a Porsche.
Well, certain men do want a Chanel bag. You see what I'm saying?
I 100%
okay, so unpack
do.
all that. Like, how do we not get trapped in I'm not enough because I don't have enough, and if I get more, I'll be happy, and never being satisfied with what you have, and always chasing the next million and all of that phenomenon. Even people that are successful Like for me, and I don't want to limit myself, and I'll just close with this. Right now in my life, I think if I had a net income of like $100,000 a month, I'd be pretty chill.
Yeah.
Like I feel that would be satisfactory to do what I want to do and, be able to travel a little bit and have a nice house. Like I'm cool.
Totally.
But most people that achieve those degrees of success, they're like, if I'm making, $1 million, whatever a year, I need to get up to 2 to 5 to 10. And there's this never ending chase cat and mouse thing going on with material success.
So there's a couple of ways that I want to unpack this because it's so important. Number one, as physical beings in the physical plane, Yogi Bhajan would say this, we physically deserve and are worthy of having anything we physically need in this lifetime. So the other part that I want to say about this is it's a natural human craving to continue to want to grow and have more and more, right? Now, the really exciting way that I want to say this, and then I'll kind of loop back around, is I wish everybody could manifest and materialize every physical thing they want, like financial brings freedom, essentially, at the end of it. That's what we're all craving, is the freedom to live the values of life that you want. But I wish everybody would manifest all of the physical they want, because the moment that they really get there, like you, when they're really in pursuit of growth in themselves, the moment they get there, they're like, it all kind of doesn't really matter. Now I can actually ask myself the bigger questions of what's the meaning of life? What do I really want? Yada, yada. So that's why it's like, I love empowering people to have anything they want, because that's when they can really act. When they get rid of the wanting, when we live in Los Angeles and when we aren't a monk who is meditating all day for detachment, but we actually are physical beings that are engaging with physical life and society, let's say in Los Angeles, we are going to continue to want for things. So I would rather people actually get their wants met, because that's when they can truly ask themselves the deeper philosophical questions of life they've been desiring to ask themselves. I even had this moment when I was driving up to the retreat house, because I come from nothing. I come from two super broke young parents who didn't know what the fuck they were doing at 18 when they had me. I moved from apartment to apartment. It wasn't uncommon to come home, and like my mom couldn't pay for storage, and so my toys were gone. And I moved every year and a half. Like it was wild, and then of course my mom struggled with addiction. And even though she's the most incredible and powerful woman in the world, but I come from absolutely nothing. And I've lived my whole life in survival mode, constantly survival, what to do. I was low self-worth, so I had to figure all that out. I come from my own crazy cycles, but I had this moment driving up to the retreat house after it closed, and I went, wow, all of my needs are met. I'm not in survival for anything in my life anymore, nothing. And I went, whoa, what's the meaning of life? Like, what is now the real meaning? I could actually get super philosophical because I was no longer totally in the physical of wanting. So I just want to really give people that licensing. Everybody's wanting is different. There's a core reason beneath why we want anything we want. And it would really surprise you when you start to deduce it down that it really has very little to do with the actual physical item. So for you, I'm just going to throw this out there and propose, I'm assuming you want the financial freedom so you can have the true freedom to create, like you're saying, this utopia of all of the things that you love to do all day and not feel like you're hustling while you're doing it. Totally great. So it's important to identify where we are in the spiritual spectrum. Because if we are operating subconsciously through this guilt mechanism, that, like let's say we had one foot into Buddhism and then we have one foot into the material life of Yogi Bhajan, those are in conflict of each other. Buddhism is detachment. Yogi Bhajan's like, project 10,000 times so you have the abundance to get what you want. It's a magic, it's a mysticism to make what you want. Right. So it's really important, I think, to get very, very clear on our identity, our core soul authentic wants and needs, and then to start to literally subconsciously detox any of the other things. And I would argue when you get to the place where you desire to be, those older models, or those not older models, but those influences you had spiritually will start to creep back in and have far deeper meaning in that place. And Jim Carrey, I think, even had that quote where he was like, I wish everybody would get everything they've ever wanted to realize it's not at all what life's about. But how do we really know until we have those X, Y, and Z that we desired to want? So I just want to give licensing to people. it is so okay to want as a physical being in the material plane. And if you subconsciously are feeling any guilt or undeservingness of it, there's bam, block number 1 in money, period. So it's like you have to get pretty clear. What do you want? Do you want abundance, or do you want to live in guilt and undeservingness of it? Because all manifestation is, at the end of the day, is they're energetics. It's just energetics. It's learning how to master and harness energetics through your subconscious, through neuroscience.
Amazing. Great answers.
And I bet you're not clear yet on those two things, right?
Well, here's the thing. It's funny. It's like, of course, earlier in life, when I had aspirations to be a rock star and I was playing in bands in Hollywood, I mean, I had nothing else to rest any sort of hope on other than, man, if I could just get, this is back in the early 90s, if you got a record deal, I mean, you could get like a couple $1 million advance and you all go buy houses and shit,
Yeah.
So that's the thing. If I get a deal and, whatever. So it's definitely thinking that my salvation was in having some sort of material success and financial security, because I never had any and I had no education and I just, dealt drugs and did all kinds of weird things for work. Some of them I will never mention on a podcast.
All that prostitution you were doing.
Also illegal activities. But then, as I started growing spiritually, when I started on the journey 22 years ago, it was a natural consequence that I started to achieve more success financially. And I built a nice career. And then yesterday I celebrated 10 years of School of Style, my first business, and that's gone really well. But I've really been more concerned about the inner growth and personal work, and the career is just like, oh, that's interesting. Wow, I keep watching myself. I mean, I've made more money every year of my life for a long time. It's not where I want it to be. Yeah. But I just kind of like did the work that was necessary, but I've been all about the inner work without being a complete recluse and renunciate householder guy or non-householder. Hobbit that's like, no, I don't want to make money. I'm like, no, I want to make money, but I don't really care how much. I just need my basic needs met. I want to buy organic food and like have a decent car and I'm cool.
Even though in the energetics of talking like that, and this isn't at all to harp on it, I just want to outline something really clear. When we are manifesting, again, it's from the subconscious. So we're working, again, with the clarity of the subconscious. And one of the first things you learn, like I have the Formula Magnetism Workshop, literally teaches you step by step how to manifest. And one of the main things I teach in it is it's so important to call from your core essence of needs, your totally true, authentic self. I'm very lenient about ego, man. Ego is not, to me, egoless, being like a monk in the Himalayas meditating. It's about getting rid of any of the exterior validation that you're using just to fill you up and getting very clear about what you are craving inside and what you need. So like a very simple thing that you didn't realize at the time when you were young and you're like, I want that $2 million advance. There were probably a lot of exterior validational things going on there. Many, I'm sure, because you hadn't dealt with a lot of your demons. But most importantly, you were craving safety and security. That's all you were craving, And so when we can get very clear about those specific core wants and we start to manifest from specificity, because like even now in saying it makes no difference. Again, your words make no difference in what you manifest whatsoever. You can throw all of that away. Anything that is imprinted in your subconscious is completely what's determining it. But even I can tell the energetics of what's going on below based on just saying like, I just want organic food and I want this and that. When we are wishy-washy and not super clear on our core wants and needs within the realm of belief, again, because we have to go out and find expanders to keep opening our subconscious more and more and more for more space. But within the realm of belief, if we're like, universe, and that is still the universe. And this is what I'll get into next because it's the most foundationally important thing about manifesting money. What we are communicating and projecting subconsciously, the pure energetic is like, I'm probably not worth it and I don't deserve it, but I'll take the little I can get. That's all that's being projected. So the universe is like, cool, here you go. That's the little I got you. No problem. But when we can start to work with our subconscious, again, like and unblocked opulence is a great place to start looking. Where does all of that live in our subconscious, which I'll let you share in a minute because you're like, oh, whoa, there's a lot down there that I don't know that's operating, and it's what's actually controlling what I'm manifesting. So it is so important, if you're going to be working on manifesting money, that you start to get very clear on what you want from your core essence needs. Like for me, again, money is completely safety and freedom, so I can be completely creatively free, meaning I can just channel, I can serve, I can delegate anything that I don't need to be doing, so I can do more of that to help the most amount of people. Therefore, I'm rewarded over and over and over and over again because I'm so clear on my needs. Now, it's not to externally validate me, but I crave like this bigger life because those are the things I need to accomplish, and this is the support I need. So getting very, very clear on what those core essence needs are. So for you, it sounds like it's wanting freedom, it's wanting safety. And to me, freedom sounds like it, like me, it's one of your bigger things. So if we get really clear and we're like, no, universe, I want X, Y, and Z. I'm going to go expand to go and find that through expanders. And then I'm going to start to carve out and work on the self-worth below that's shouting out like, I'm not worth it. I don't deserve this. I have guilt. I'm not good enough. When we get all that away, bam, we have money. It's like one of the most money too, when you figure out the energetics, are one of the most easy things to manifest. It's unreal. So that's going to parlay me into the second part. When it comes to manifesting money, the three most important things, like if I were to break it down to anything, is that number one, we are expanded enough. So we have enough people in our lives that we truly identify with that are doing what we want to be doing, so for instance, are making money in the ways that we see to believe is possible for us to make monies, and that make money in that same way, which opulence teaches you.
Is that, I got to interject something. Is that like that principle of you're the sum total of the 5 people you hang around the most kind of thing? Okay.
You want to make it happen quicker, surround yourself around the 8 people who have everything you want. Totally. It's and that's just simple mirror neurons.
I just
it's
fired
osmosis.
3 of my friends, and you know who you are if you're listening.
Well, it's,
no, I'm just telling you. No, all my friends.
You guys are like,
all my friends are doing well, but it used to not be that way, But anyway, carry on.
So that's number one of the most important things. Number 2, the most important thing, you have to be expanded in order to have space for it to come through. So even if you go deal with the other 2 things I'm going to talk about, if you're like this on a subconscious, it literally can't come in. If you haven't seen to believe what you want is possible, there's no space for it to come through. That's where you create kind of what I call like a magnetism bank account. It's just waiting for you to get your shit together, opening that space for it to come through. So the second, bar none, the most important thing is that on a subconscious level, you feel deserving of what you're asking for. And it's not something you can fake to make. It's not something you can think positive. It's not something you can affirm over and over again. It's literally going down in a subconscious hypnotic state and dealing with your demons. Anything you picked up from modeling that reflects back why you, through pain, shame, whatever, aren't worthy of that money. Or like Luke, you're going to be doing some serious spiritual detoxing to be like, nah, I'm throwing that to the wayside for now because I'm actually going to own and call in my deservingness for money on a subconscious level. When people say that positivity is the law of attraction or being in the vortex, nothing could be more incorrect with manifestation. I can give you 100% guaranteed stamp on this. What is the actual magnetic force that brings what we want to us is on a subconscious level, we feel worthy of it. So meaning that we are like totally in our worth, getting rid of anything that makes us small, not in our worth, out of our way, and totally in a pillar of worth is actually what magnetizes what we want to us. So that's why I call the process unblocking, like unblocking all of this imprintation that makes us feel unworthy. And if you want to take like that magnetism to the next level, that magnetic force, get deserving on a subconscious level for what you want. Like, I deserve this. And it's, again, not something you can affirm, not something you can think positive to. You literally have to go down and do the work on it. And then the third most important thing is that you're passing tests, which again is in the formula magnetism. But that means nobody ever taught me this. And I talked about this in the last episode. The universe will always test you. Always. When you have been, like, let's say, settling in financial situations, maybe you aren't charging as much as you should be for something, or whatever the case is, that you're settling. The next opportunity that's going to come through is usually going to try to test you. It's going to look a lot like the last thing, but with a little bit more money, but it's definitely not the right sponsorship or partnership or whatever. And when we take it, that's when we're communicating to the universe, oh, I don't believe that you'll send me the exact thing that I want. So I'm going to settle and just take what I can get for security, right? So that's just a form of testing. So those are the three most important things: expansion, subconscious worth on, on a subconscious level, and then passing test. It's really so simple when you get down to it. It's nothing that we have to think positive till we're blue in the face, because that's not going to do much for it.
We'll be right back at you after this brief but important announcement. I'm going to go out on a limb here and guess that as you listen to this interview with Lacy Phillips, you want in. I know that when I interviewed her the first time, I was left with this sort of yearning to get involved with whatever magic and voodoo she's up to. Now, Lacy is one of the top manifestation advisors in the world, and what she specializes in is unblocking low self-worth. And I think that's what's missing from some of these more feel-good, airy-fairy, unicorns and rainbows, just think positive and you're going to get what you want teachings. Her stuff deals with neuroscience. It deals with deeply embedded subconscious limiting beliefs. And in the course, which I'm currently taking, she uses hypnosis and meditation to help remove those blocks. Now, her workshops take about 20 minutes of work per day. It's very approachable, quick, accessible. If I can do it, listen, if you're listening to this, if I can do it, you can do it. I'm not someone that likes to really sit down and focus on something like this, but I have a desire to manifest more wealth and abundance in my life. That's what I'm working on. You can use her courses to manifest relationships and all kinds of things. The point is, I really believe in Lacy and her work. I believe in her integrity, and I actually just really enjoy consuming the content. So if you want to join me and Lacy in class, here's what you do. Go to freeandnative.com/Luke. That's freeandnative.com/Luke. And I'm going to share a little abundance with you right now and get you 10% off. You can get that discount by using the code Luke at checkout. So that's freeandnative.com/Luke. Use the code Luke to save 10% off. See you in class. And now back to the interview. I'm going to back up to the belief system and expand on that a little bit. Of you're either pursuing a spiritual way of life or you're pursuing a material way of life. And the intersection of those two. And that, I think for me, it's like, well, I'll keep the material percolating enough and growing, and I'm doing good stuff, and I'm expanding. I mean, I'm always moving on to new, exciting shit.
Yeah.
But really, really, it's about the inner work. But what has happened for me, and I'm just starting to realize this, because I am comfortable and I'm safe and I'm secure and I finally have no debt in my life and I'm chilling. And as I said, I'm making more money than I ever have.
Yeah.
And then I think, well, I want to take it to the next level. And, let's just say you put a number on it. Like I said, okay, I want a net income of $100,000 a month.
Totally.
Just do whatever with, which isn't even really that much. It
not
probably
in LA,
sounds like a lot to some people, but it's not really, because
it's $1 million, or it's 1.2 million a year.
So, okay. So here's what I'm getting at, though, is I'm starting to have this breakthrough where it's like manifesting on the physical, and specifically with money, is part of my spiritual lesson.
Yeah. Oh,
and
totally.
It's part of this incarnation.
It's
like, I used to look at Yogi Bhajan or Osho, and I was like, oh, those guys are fake ass. Like, they have all these cars and stuff. Like, ew, gross. What a fake teacher.
Totally.
Now I'm realizing, no, they're learning how to play in that
They're
realm.
playing the game.
Yeah. That's
all. Yeah.
Yeah. And so I've been kind of reframing that. And now it's like, no, I really feel that as a soul, there's what I'm to learn. The first part of it was like a spiritual principle that you don't buy something you don't actually have the money for.
Yeah. Oh, great. That's a great lesson.
Which is called credit cards. Yeah. And that took me about 40 years to learn.
Huge.
And now I literally don't buy anything unless I have the cash money.
Any manifestation practice that's like, go out and buy the outfit you want in order to feel more abundant, that's a great way to go in debt. So I'm so happy you're talking about that, because that's not the way to go about this.
And it's not like, oh, I need to not debt so I can have the house or the Ferrari. It's just like, oh no, this is a spiritual spiritual principle. I've been breaking spiritual laws, and I have lacked the patience and the discipline to save up and get the thing I want. I just want to do what feels good, and I treat money like a freaking 12-year-old, which is kind of when I started that behavior. You know, it's like, can I get next week's allowance? I already spent this week. You know, that kind of thing. And then even it's funny. I was looking back on this, and it might be weird, but it's true. Like in the world of like drug dealing, you never have the money up front, so your dealer like fronts you the drugs, and then you owe them now, and then you have to like unload it.
And you're always in debt, so you always have to be using.
And then to re-up, you have to have the money that they just gave you and that whole thing. So that was really like my first job. I mean, I was a dishwasher for 5 minutes.
But it's not crazy that you manifested that job either. You know what I mean? If you really just look at the energetics of it, it's the model you understood already from a young age.
Right. So that is not like, oh, it's not a practical thing that I need to sort out. It's like, no, my soul needs to learn how to work with those principles of that. So, okay, cool. I have grown. I stopped that shit. I'm good.
Yeah.
Now it's like, it's my soul in this incarnation having those subconscious limiting beliefs and low self-worth and thinking those people up in the Hollywood Hills, when I look at those lights from here, like they have something I don't have. They've figured out, they have the secret code, or they're smarter or more talented or more deserving or whatever it is. Yeah. That's the shit that's the spiritual growth is to overcome that.
1,000%.
And then I'm sitting in a big dumb house going, okay, this was an interesting experiment in playing with reality and warping reality.
And you're going to be like, now that I'm here, I'm not any happier than I was when I was down in West Hollywood in my apartment.
And I've experienced that. You know, it's funny. I was living in a home of my dreams in the Hollywood Hills a few years ago.
I remember you told us on the last episode.
Oh, I did? Yeah. And
you manifested it and all of that stuff.
Yeah, totally. Yeah. And then I lived there with my girlfriend at the time, and then we broke up. She bounced, and deservedly so. And at the time, I was not ready, for that. And so she left, and here I was in the house. And I'm sitting in a house, like house of my dreams. And I was leasing it, but still, it was still the house of my dreams to lease. And she was gone, and I was so heartbroken, and I would just sit there and cry. I would just bawl, and I was like, God, it doesn't matter what fucking house I'm in right now. My heart is broken and aching.
Yeah.
And I don't care what yacht you put me on. Like, nothing's going to undo that. And it was a great experience to have, that I could still, and even just aside from a heartbreak, just sometimes feeling pissed off or crazy or in fear or emotionally out of balance or unstable, and being in that house made no difference.
Not at all. Never will. Being in the car won't. Yeah. But we hear that, and we go like, well, then we shouldn't want, or that's an exterior validation. And I actually am the opposite. I'm like, get it and realize it still doesn't do anything for you. Now your pursuit of spiritual work can go like on super drive, because you're not wanting for things really anymore. Right. So you're like, let's want to make myself whole.
Right. So going back to what you're saying earlier, that some people, strive for the material success, and then they arrive there and go, oh God, this is it? I thought this was going to fix me, and it didn't fix me. Then they go inward and go spiritual. My journey's almost reverse of that in a sense, where I went inward, gone spiritual, working on that, and then the manifestation of the material and the money is it's just like, hey, let me see if I can play with this reality.
It's just waiting for you to tap in. That's
and just kind of do this quantum juggling of it and go, oh, wow. And that's where I see the Osho thing and like the Yogi Bhajan thing. That's what they were doing. They were like, gold, riches, diamonds. This is...
It's like whatever. Who cares?
Yeah, it's just like a toy to just like, play with reality. Right?
Totally. It's like a mockingbird.
But there's no way that I could understand that, though. There's no way that I could understand that unless I had sort of gone through. I mean, I just turned 48, so I've gone through a lot of different cycles. And now I see those guys, those specific gurus that chose to play with that realm. I go, oh, okay, I get why. Didn't you tell me, Elliot, Yogi Bhajan was a billionaire or something? Yeah, he just owns zillions of companies. Yeah. I'm like, how do you teach yoga?
Because it's like, to him, it's like water. It's energy. Who cares? He can do it. It's like you tap into a game, really, and you play with it.
Exactly.
And that's it. But going back to, I think a really important distinction there is to make, and it's kind of looping back to a cycle of what we talked about. There are really two Eastern, this is a major generalization, but two Eastern energetic philosophies going on. We have the philosophy of detachment, right? Because, Buddha was a prince and had all the riches and all the things, and he went and figured out, after having all the things, he became enlightened, realizing it meant nothing. So he was going to go to pure detachment to really understand what it meant to be fully present. Now, when you're going more to kind of, and this is a generalization, but you're dealing with more of the yogic, more of the, not full yogic, but if we get more in the Yogi Bhajan realm, specifically more of that, you're playing into mysticism. So even if it's alchemy of sexuality, you're playing with the mysticism of how to make this the most like orgasmic and pleasurable experience out there. They are wanting to tap into all of the pleasures of life in a way to reach enlightenment. You have another form that's detaching and not needing of anything to reach enlightenment. So it's like you just kind of get to choose which journey you want to go on, or you can swap, but don't be doing both at once if you're manifesting, because it's wishy-washy to the universe. And that's kind of what you've been up to. And now you're deciding to play the game of mysticism.
That's true, because my prayers are usually, I mean, in more or less words or feelings expressed, thy will be done. Like, I'm just about whatever God's will is.
Yeah. You can also be like, I'm about what your will is, God, but I also need all the physical pleasures in this lifetime.
And it might sound weird to someone because it sounds religious or something, but it's not. It's just, I live a surrendered life. I know that there's an intelligence that's greater than mine. And when I follow that, my life is much more fulfilling. But that said, oftentimes my prayers are very general, or they're for other people or whatever.
That's the biggest issue then. That's why I got poor Luke when I came. I don't really tell people this much, but like when I'm channeling before I see someone, or when I used to work with clients, usually the guides will come and tell me something. And so at 2 a.m., they woke me up last night to tell me 2 things I had to tell Luke was something with the programs, blocking him from money, meaning, like the program. And number 2, why aren't you doing your own thing yet? Like, why aren't you making your own product or your own whatever portals, what you'll learn about in opulence when you continue it. But you just hit it, what the surrendered life, which is so beautiful. The program's great. But also when we harness the energy of being in full surrender or in the pursuit of surrender, we also can navigate it. Like, we can also be like, I do this all the time. When I had to learn, I do that constantly. I'm like, my greatest will here is to help as many people as I can, to empower them that they can have anything they want. God, universe, if I do this, if I show up and I dedicate my life to that, I need all of my physical needs taken care of, because when I was young, I didn't have most of them taken care of. And that is my karma, if you will. That's what I'm choosing my karma is in my adult life. I want to have as cushy and as happy of a life as possible. I want to have as much delegated as possible so I can focus on that. I also love, as you do, fashion is a huge expression of mine. So are collecting and curating items in my life. It's an expression. It's like an art form to me. I've owned that a long time ago. A lot of people would have a problem with that too, that's like a material issue. It's not. If you get very clear, again, at what your core wants to project in this life, not what you think will fill you on the outside, but again, what your core needs to fully project itself, then you'll start to materialize those things as well. They won't be for validation. They'll be for expression, for navigation, for pursuit to take you further on the spiritual journey. So that's why it's like the surrender is a great thing, but also include these are my needs that I also need met.
Well, it's funny because lately I've not always, but for many years done vision boards and stuff like that. Yeah. And the stuff happens,
Totally.
know? But now I have a book. It's like kind of a big journal, like a workbook. Because it travels better.
Yeah, and make your lists in it.
Yeah, and it's easier to hide when someone comes over that you don't want to see your dreams. I used to be so embarrassed. I'd have my vision board in my room.
You'd have to put it down.
Yeah,
or turn it around.
A date would come over, and I'd have all these hot girls in bikinis on my vision board, and they're like, "Wait, I'm brunette. What's that?"
Yeah.
So it's private now. It's not shared with others. But in there, I have very specific numbers, and
yes, there you go. Yeah.
So I'm getting less general about my prayers, and kind of, I guess, the way that I'm framing it now is surrendered life, but surrendered action, taking action and moving forward.
And most importantly, that I deserve it and it's not bad to want it. Those are the 2 energetics you're not working with right now. Because when you're able to kick those into the right subconscious gear, it's all going to flow if you're expanded.
It's so funny because when you say I deserve it,
you even probably cringe.
In milliseconds, my mind is like, who the fuck do you think you are?
That's why you're
what do
not
you mean
manifesting
you deserve it
enough. Yeah.
You know?
That's what will open up literally the faucet for it to like, it's so funny. Shiva Rose and I just talked about on my podcast. We were
I want to hear that.
And no, it's such a good one. And we were talking specifically about the Har Had meditation, and doing it in tangent with actually following the steps in opulence, like really doing the work. I mean, I'll have people who do the workshop and they're like in the Facebook group, wait, what are portals? Portals are like a whole very specific thing in there. But we kept talking about like when we were doing opulence and doing that meditation, you know how Yogi Bhajan would be like, and then it'll be 10,000 times, it'll be too much prosperity. You won't know what to do. And it fucking happened. It was literally like, I didn't have the team to support my company. Like it was too much. I was like, wait, God, this is too much. I need you to slow the brakes a little until I can get the infrastructure in place to support, which again, energetically is so I can get my nervous system strong enough to support all that you're saying, all this prosperity you're sending me.
Wow. Something that you talked about in your course, I mean, there's a lot of great copy there, and I try to digest as much as I could. But you say money is energy. The energy of money is expanded worth.
It is. That's all it is. That's all it is. So again, that's just like when you're really starting to, what we're already picking on two of your blocks that literally, if you move those out of the way and you're expanded again through expanders, those two blocks of, I'm still in this place of like, how can I be a good person if I want, So it's like really going, I'm consciously letting go of detachment for now. I'm consciously moving more into the realm of mysticism and deservingness. So that's one. And then two, the very important thing is any block you have on a subconscious level where like you just felt, I don't feel deserving. Who the fuck am I? Which all goes down to low self-worth. Those are the two things that are literally going to start to magnetize this. Those in expansion are going to magnetize this 100K a month that you're wanting. That is not farce. That's not crazy. It can happen just as quickly as you're expanded and you're unblocking. It really is when you start to I always say this, and people probably think I'm crazy who aren't maybe making a lot of money, but when you understand the energetics of money and manifestation, it's like the easiest thing to manifest. So easy, but we put so much weight on it only because of survival. We put it for security and survival, that we put all of this weight on it, that when we take all of that off and we unlock, it's just so simple. It's so crazy.
Would you define these, because you have a lot of different terms and I want to break some of them down.
We have a whole glossary on this site because I make up my own terminology.
No, it's cool, but explain expanders.
Yeah, so that's what I was talking about before. So expanders, to go a little bit more in depth into them. Again, back in old manifestation rhetoric, the visualize process. Yeah, great. If you want to visualize, rock on. But it's not actually what's creating space for your manifestation to come through. Maybe it helps you get more clear. Maybe it helps you feel in control of a process. Cool. But if you really want to start to create space for what you want to come through, you need to go find expanders. And again, it's getting back to those like surrounding yourself around the 8 people who have what you want.
Oh, expanders are others.
They're others.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I remember you talking about that. I didn't connect the word to it.
No, it's great because maybe other people were confused. And knowing that we can expand little elements. So like, let's say you're like, but I do know 8 people who make 100K a month doing podcasts and, being in the wellness world and having a fashion, school. But there might still be little elements where you're like, well, they came from money, so no wonder. That you need to go find then an element of an expander who's totally self-made. Like it has to, the lower our self-worth is on a subconscious level, so the more we grew up in poverty and we grew up with parents or community that was modeling like, you'll always be a waiter, you'll always be this, or you always, the more we grew up with that, the more we need expanding, the more we need to grow our worth. Otherwise, all that's looping in our reptilian limbic subconscious brain is like, nope, that's the way it goes and that's what's going to be safe. That's why the process that I work with people is all through neuroplasticity, because we literally can completely transform our brain. It's great. We have the science to back that up, and we have the capability through reaching hypnotic states to go down there and completely transform it. So it's the finding the expanders and getting rid of the low self-worth on the subconscious level, and then turning that into deservingness on a subconscious level.
Are the hypnotic states like the guided thing that I listened to in your program today? Yeah.
So like basically while you're going through opulence, it's going to show you all of your shit that you have to do. And then you're going to take that through something that we have every day, which is called the daily reprogramming exercise, which people can get totally a la carte. And in that, it's 15 minutes a day, every day, you're going through and you're reinforcing the deservingness, or unblocking the new memories that are popping up now that you're allowing these other memories to come through. New things will pop up to show you like, well, this is why you're not worth it. Wait, be safe here. It's all of that has to be removed to create the new neural pathway that you're deserving.
So you could eliminate the neural pathway that's carved that says you can't be spiritual and filthy rich too. Or even just the word filthy rich is probably a bad word to use.
Yeah. So you're still policing yourself.
So you can't be just crazy, ridiculously rich and also be a meaningful influence on the world and help people and live a spiritual life and live a pure, holy life. That's an idea.
There's so many people who inhabit that. And even ones that come to mind that I don't know well, but isn't Rich Roll quite successful? And he's quite spiritual and spends most of his time trying to empower people to be healthier.
Yeah.
That's an expander.
Tony Robbins
is a great example of that. He's a motivator. Even if we want to go into the arts, who's that incredible music producer? What's his name? That's so
Rick Rubin?
Yes.
Yeah.
Like who's such a meditator. Sun gazes, does all of his stuff, and he's, I would argue, maybe on the spectrum because he's such a genius, but he also is really fucking successful because he's really honed in on what his gift is. Again, he follows his authentic gift. He does it so well, and he's rewarded. So, I mean, there's so many people that live these expansive, beautiful lives.
That's funny. Use Rick as an example.
He's a perfect example.
I have been hanging out with him a little bit and recently walked into his house. He lives in Malibu.
Yeah.
And I walked into his house and I was like, this is my vision board house.
See? He's your fucking expander.
Yeah, I was like, this dude the house is so dialed.
Yeah.
I was like, it's just impeccable. He has just the best taste.
Was there a moment that
he has the ice baths? He has all the things. And also just great energy, great wife, a beautiful baby.
I feel like we should be great friends, he and I.
Yeah, I just walked in. I was like, this dude is living the goddamn dream.
Yeah. When you were there, though, this is so key to show you how to continue navigating this workshop. When you walked in, was there a part of you that went, but I can't have this? Or did you go, I could have this too?
I would say probably more on the side of he has it because he has these talents that I don't have.
Yeah. So what you would want to be...
He produces, a zillion platinum records and I don't have that secret
for literally
sauce.
The full spectrum of every musical talent.
Yeah. I mean, he set the bar high in terms of success, in one's life creatively and otherwise. But I didn't walk in. I was like, oh yeah, that's sick. This is the kind of, I'll get this house in a couple months. Right. Definitely not on that. It was oh, well, yeah, shit.
This is what you get when you're that talented and great.
How do you do this? This is mysterious.
Okay, so I want to break this down just a little bit because this will show people who will be doing opulence.
Funny, Rick. If you hear this, I'm sorry to put you on blast. I know he listens to the show. No, dude,
Rick, we're such mega fans over here. We're having a love fest.
He'll be like, "What were you thinking when you walked in my house?"
But no.
I'm sure anyone that walks in that house is like, "What?"
It's magic.
It's amazing,
and he strikes me as such a beautiful human being. That's probably not even thinking on that wavelength.
Very much so. But it's funny that he actually is an example of someone who makes a massive contribution. Is a very kind, loving person, helps so many artists, is creating things that will probably live for a very long time in our archives of art and things like that.
This is he's
not like a selfish jerk that's like, another Lamborghini,
No, he's the perfect model of someone who's deserving to have all of that, gives back, follows his total gifts, and betters himself through spirituality. He is literally the perfect package of what that means to be I'm a physical being on the physical plane. I deserve whatever I physically need while following my gifts, my authentic gifts. He's the perfect example of that. But what I want to break down just for people really quickly so that they understand while they're navigating opulence and I'm not there to hold their hand through it, what's going on there is what you would want to do in a subconscious state is you would want to break down, you could easily do it through the daily reprogramming exercise. What are all of the doubts that come up for me of why I can't have that too? You need to go reprogram all of them. So that would be 7 different days. If it were 7 different things you would focus on, it takes 15, 20 minutes a day. So that would be a huge component. And another really important thing I want to say, the universe will never put you in, for lack of a better word, vibration or the same company with something that isn't a mirror or a reflection of what you need to unlock in yourself or where you are going in your life. Those are the only things that come through to you, right? So he has come through to show up as an expander for you, whether you believe it or not, or you're ready to deserve that and accept it and receive it or not. That's why he's here. He's an expander for you. So your job is to unlock any reason why you don't believe that you're worthy of having exactly what he has. Then the second thing is to realize he's not your full package expander because he's in the music industry. Even though you have been in the music industry right now, the pursuit that you're in, your gifts right now are moderating, or teaching people how to be their healthiest selves, biohacking. So you now have Rick Rubin as an example. You'll want to go find a couple of other expanders who are, is it the Bulletproof Radio guy? Is it, I don't know Rich Roll, well, but are those your perfect expanders who have really, really made something successful and they do something very similar to you? They're in your same world, but you need to go find your micro expanders everywhere until your subconscious goes, okay, this is fucking possible.
Right.
I see it. It's possible. My job's to unlock why I don't deserve what they have. That's it. It's that simple.
That's great.
Yeah.
That's a similar sort of principle then to the taking it way old school Napoleon Hill to the mastermind group, right?
Very similar. I mean, Napoleon Hill, though, in a lot of ways, and you can, if these things speak to you. I'm a projector, so we're really quick. We're like, how do we see a system, break it? And that's human design for anybody who doesn't understand. We're like, how do we see a system quickly, break it down, take out all the fluff that doesn't work and make it as digestible and simple to follow as possible. Affirmations, great if they make you feel in control. Like a lot of, when that book was originally written too, he had a lot that talked about like vibration and talked a lot about, but it was all taken out. The publishers, like, we can't put this out in the world for it to be a bestseller. But a lot of the book talks about things like, you have to affirm this every day in the mirror and do that and have, put everything in an envelope. And, there's a lot of steps and you just don't need to do all of that. You literally, for the busy person in their life today that's like, I have way too much to do already and I'm broken, stressed out. Like this workshop, it's very affordable. What is it? 5 days? I can't even remember. I haven't done it for a while, and then you have the daily reprogramming exercise you'll do daily again to unlock any of these limiting beliefs or non-deservingness. And that's 15 minutes a day, 20 minutes at most. So it's like, I just am like, how do we do this shit the quickest possible and make it happen? And if you're committed to doing it because you really want it, it will.
Makes perfect sense. This is great. It's so interesting that you reached out to me and were like, hey, let's do another podcast. Yeah. Because I'm literally...
You're probably like, I don't want to. I'm tired. I just went out of town.
I kind of didn't want to, not because it was you, but because I just went to New York and recorded 8 episodes, and then I filled out my whole calendar through like February 2019.
Jesus.
And I'm like, cool, I'm done recording for now. But this thing was timely, but especially since you're like, oh, this is what I want to talk about. And I was like, really? Universe? This is interesting because
you had like just cracked open the secret, right?
No, I started from like the most basic like shit that I've already been through a million times. Abraham Hicks and even Napoleon Hill, I'd probably bust that out. And it's like, I'm just going, let me just forget everything I think I know about
Have a detox. Just try it.
Yeah,
just try it.
And start totally from scratch. Yeah. So it was timely and it's really fun to be digging into this. So
I'm so excited because something I do have to mention, and I'm not going to disclose anything for you, but love and money are so directly connected that the moment you start to find your stride in love, the worthiness of love, how to love properly and receive love properly, how to have high standards and not settle for what doesn't serve you, and vice versa for the person who's in your life, money is very close to follow. If you're unblocked, if you're deserving.
Oh, good, because I feel very unblocked in that area.
So it's not crazy that I'd be like, yo.
That's amazing.
The universe is like, again, I've got you. If you start believing you deserve it and you expand into it, I got you.
Wow.
That's what the universe is showing you.
God, I love the wizardry of that thing there that we call universe.
I know.
So you also say 3 components decipher how much money we are attracting. Beliefs, expansion, and worth equals energy. Therefore, it flows based on the structure of beliefs you grew up with, your subconscious, to how much you have shown your subconscious that you can expand into, to the projection of your worthiness. So let's start decoding the structure of your beliefs. And so as I started to go through that part of the program known as opulence, there were a number of questions there that I found very meaningful. Most of them were pretty easy to find an answer to, if I was honest with myself and I went inside. So I'd like to cover some of those questions because I think I'm one of those people that I'd like to understand the way things work and the why. Like, well, how? If I have these beliefs, how the hell did that shit get in there?
Yeah.
Is understanding kind of, it seems like we're going back, as you said, to 0 years to 14 or 0 to 25 or whatever, when we're forming our brain in the way that we relate to reality. Is this why? And I want to go over some of these questions. Is this why we're going back to childhood? Almost
1,000%.
In the therapy model, of course, if you're like, wait, what's
this is like quick therapy. Again, work with your therapist. I'm not a licensed therapist or anything like that. Work simultaneously with your therapist if you need to, or your support group. But this is like super speeding things because a lot of talk therapy brings awareness, but it's like, cool, now what do I do to change it? That's where I was at for years. And I was like, well, let me figure it out. And I did for myself. And I think has helped thousands and thousands of people.
Is it all right if I don't know if this is secret sauce.
Totally.
Can I give some of the questions? Okay.
And I'll break down why they're important.
Okay, cool. Then I'm like, let me give away your whole online course for free.
I mean, you've only been day one. You have a lot more to go.
All right, good. Okay, cool. So question in opulence, which is is opulence, because I dipped in the middle, so I don't really know what I'm doing. Is that one of the modules? You have like formula and magnetism, reparent, shadow, partnership, opulence, know, and supported. Yeah. Are those modules within one big course?
No. So they kind of break down all the things. So like the formula magnetism is literally the step-by-step how to manifest. It's the formula that like hacks away all the bullshit superstition. It's the quick and easy. If you do this and dance with the universe, this is how you manifest. But I got a ton of people that were like, how do I manifest love and money? And those are like the 2 big ones. And I was like, I'll make a course under $100 that teaches you how, so you don't have to do a $450 session with me when I was still doing sessions. So that's what those covers. Literally the energetics of how to manifest money and how to manifest relationships, which are very tied together, but they're separate courses. And then we have reparent and shadow, which are the 2 most important everybody should do, because it completely deals with the 2 reasons why we might not be manifesting, from imprintation of our childhood. So you're literally reprogramming your entire childhood. And secondly, what we don't own owns us. So where we're not fully showing up in the world, we are projecting to the universe that we're not worthy of it. So shadow's all about how to own it all, really get into that worthiness and unlock everything. And then I kept getting a shit ton of questions as I grew and the company grew, like on Instagram all the time. And I'm such a sensitive empath that I was like, I literally can't disconnect or turn off. So what we'll do, because I don't think it's fair to answer this one question that I know will benefit literally thousands of people, we created Supported, which is just I made it as cheap as I could have afforded when I was the brokest. It's $3.99 a month, where I teach a class every 2 weeks. It's an hour-long video class, so you can listen to it like a podcast, answering everybody's questions. And it's literally the episode that came out today from my podcast. We sampled it for people. I answered all their questions, and people are already writing in and being like, oh my God, I can't believe that this is what you do and talk about in there. So that's what Supported is.
Oh, cool. Yeah, I recently made a Facebook group for listeners of the podcast. By the way, if you're listening, just go to Facebook and search the Lifestylist Podcast. I think there's about 3,000 people in there now.
Awesome.
And I too now am more present and there to find on Instagram, and a lot of people DM me questions about different things. And so now I just have an autoresponder that's in my notes on my phone, and I click. It's like, join the Facebook group. It's not cool to even if I had the time, which of course I don't, to sit there and answer a question for one person when 3,000 people
literally
could get the benefit of the answer. So I'm like, I feel like a jerk sometimes doing it. And I'm just like, I'm sorry.
No,
even,
man. And
even if it's what's the best V vitamin or something, I could answer it so easily. I'm just like, no, I just have a hard, fast rule. I don't answer questions.
It's a boundary. And I will say for anybody, and this isn't to alienate anybody listening, I hope you're creating your boundaries as well. boundaries and no are the quickest way to create magnetism. That's self-worth in motion, because you're going, these are my needs. This is the space that I need to be happy. So I'm going to say no to anything that's not a hell yes. If you are blocked in your life right now and you don't want to do anything in terms of the courses or anything, you're like, what's the one first step I can do to start manifesting and just create a little bit of magnetism? Go and get rid of everything and say no in your life to anything that's making you settle, making you small, making you feel unworthy, or just doesn't make you feel really fulfilled. Get rid of it and watch what starts to show up in your life. It creates instant magnetism. So I'm just giving you license.
That's rad. No, I love it. If it's not a hell yes, it's a no. Yeah. I think that's very sage
I don't know
advice.
who I got that from. I think it's the most popular saying on the planet, but it really is fucking applicable to manifestation.
Yeah, it is. I don't find that I go along with things that I'm not comfortable. Like, I have boundaries, so I'm not like, if a homie's like, hey, can I come stay at your house for a week or something? I'm like, no.
Yeah.
I don't like go in that way. Yeah. I'm very good at no, but what I have a hard time saying no to is opportunities, to go be on someone's podcast or do a retreat or speak at a thing. And I kind of say yes to every opportunity. And then meanwhile, I'm like, why is it taking me a year to build a new website?
Yeah,
like, I literally,
so depleted.
I can't build my website because I keep saying no to all these, which are great opportunities, but they're not, but they're not the thing that I really want to focus on and do.
Make that your 2019 intention and watch
for real.
What happens.
And I even attempted to say no to everything that was between now and say January.
Yeah.
Give me a couple months to build my website. I've got a bunch of video content. I'm going to figure out what to do with it.
Yeah.
It might be an online course.
Cool.
Or something. Yeah.
Which I think are the coolest thing now, because people listening here are listening all over the world. That's how we even started ours. I was getting so many requests because I was only teaching workshops, New York, LA, London, so
right.
They were like, will you ever put this online one day? And I saw all these cheesy ones and it looked like mass marketing and and then I saw one that a friend did and it was so beta, it was so simplistic and interactive that I was like, oh, I could do that. And I'm going to make it as affordable as possible, truly cheap. And that's what birthed it. And it totally, now people all around the world are super supported in this that didn't have access. So I really encourage it.
Yeah, the online class model is dope.
So cool.
For everyone.
And you guys have that already.
Yeah, with School
the
of Style, we moved to 100% online in January of this year of 2019.
Awesome.
Yeah, it's great.
And now everybody has access.
Yeah, and it's way less expensive for the students.
Totally.
They don't have to travel and we can live our lives and it's amazing. All right, so let's get into some of these questions from Opulence that deal with sort of the origin of the issues and the blocks here. That was really meaningful for me. What did your main parents and step-parents or caretakers do for a living while you were 0 to 14? In parentheses, we tend to model our level of success based on our same-sex parents. Sometimes the opposite, but mostly our same. Let me just tell you what I put for an answer, because I was not going to do that. There's many I'm not saying the answer to that shit on air, but this one, my mom, who I primarily lived with, was a waitress, and my dad was an entrepreneur and did real estate and was very successful. And so it's funny because I was I always had a dad that was wealthy and a mom that was not wealthy. And
what was the relationship with both?
With my relationship with them, I was much closer with my mom when I was a kid. My dad was pretty unavailable and he was caught up in making money.
Yeah, so there's a big reason why you have a block
he really believed that it's all about material success. And in fact,
this is the root. This is
my
huge.
parents sometimes get pissed at me for, I try to
my poor mom, she loves you. So she's going to be listening to this, but she also knows, I think she's the most talented and incredible person on the planet, but sharing our stories is what helps people relate. And my mom, I'll share, had the most fucked up childhood ever, so it's I think it's so important to share that vulnerability. And Luke's mom, we think you're so cool.
Yeah, no, she's amazing. Just, I have to sometimes be careful and remember my parents, have a private life and they don't necessarily want to be put on blast, But yeah, my relationship with my dad was very strained. And in fact, one of the main reasons that my parents got divorced when I was 3 or whatever was because my dad was really focused on making money and providing.
There's your biggest block.
Yeah, and he wasn't present. And so my mom was like, I'd like a husband. I'm out of here. I'm going to California and taking the kid. And there we went. And my dad's left heartbroken in Colorado, thinking he was doing the right thing by trying to make money, and he was totally probably unavailable in many ways, and whatever.
And you also witness that if somebody's caught up in that they get abandoned. So there's a couple of layers there of why this is a major block for you.
Interesting.
Huge.
So yeah, and also Dad, although he was very financially secure and successful, was not a happy camper.
Yeah,
was very angry.
So there's your third block
early in life, and Mom was pretty happy and had very little money.
There's your fourth block. Yeah.
And so, I wonder how those messages played out. And then
they're huge. They made you seek out a spiritual practice as well, in surrender, not surrender per se, but detachment. Because both of those modelings and those messages in your subconscious level are like, whoa, what rips me away from Dad is money. Also, and like what makes him unavailable is money. What makes us abandon him is money. And then Mom never really, I don't know, maybe she did eventually make, but in your formative years, didn't need money to be There's so many layers there.
Yeah, and I was perfectly provided for when I was a kid too, even though my mom didn't have a lot of money. I mean, she made sure that I
ate and had clothes and went to school. And those are, But the whole messaging there to your subconscious, which again, our subconscious is just our limbic brain that's looping, and it is so prehistoric. It is so prehistoric. That's why we can't access it really in a conscious state. And, the beta state, we have to go into the theta, or alpha, or really like delta for asleep when we're really processing. That's what actually brings it forward. And so like you got to see in the deep imagining, when it's forward, you're like, whoa, there's that, like all these things I don't really see a lot. But these questions are so important to unblocking. And unlike talk therapy, don't just be like, cool, now I know this. Now you need to go take all of this through the daily reprogramming exercise, or through reparent, or through shadow. So the shadow there would be like, if I'm successful, then people will abandon me. I will appear like I'm an asshole because money makes me like obsessive and angry and unavailable. There's so many shadows there that need to be reintegrated into yourself to own it, to feel deserving, so that you start attracting it. And same thing, like the parent modeling. Reparent is such a great course for this, because you can go back with just the specificity of money and go back and change around, literally like reprogramming any of that messaging to make you empowered. Because when your subconscious is forward, it can't tell the difference between what's real or not real. That's why neuroplasticity is so effective, that you can literally like tell it suggestively almost anything and see it, and it starts to create now, since it's new, those new neural pathways. So that's why I think that this process is so important, and these questions are super important.
It also explains why I had to stop watching The Walking Dead.
Yeah, totally. Because when we're watching TV, we're in a hypnotic state. You're like, whoa.
At a certain point, I was dating someone who really liked that show, and I got super into it and was like kind of addicted to it and binging on it. And then there's like 5 million seasons. So I never could get to the end and like, okay, I'm done with that. It's like the crack of TV. But I would watch it and I was like, oh my God, how many? I just saw like 150 human bodies get slaughtered with machetes in an hour. And eventually I was like, yeah, I can't. This is not in alignment.
And you're like, now I'm desensitized. I don't even think this is wrong anymore.
Yeah, it's really weird. But it's that... that your subconscious doesn't know that's not actually happening. No, right?
Not at all. It can't tell the difference. It's totally real to it.
Very interesting.
That's why like if you become a real conspiracist, I think that Guru Jagat's a huge one. I love her. And, me too. There's a lot of control happening through media, through politics, through everything. There's a lot of mind control going, a lot of puppetry. I mean, it's deep, and people play into it and they go heavy with it.
She's one of the only guests that I've had on that understood when I made a reference to chemtrails. She was like, the chemtrails.
Yeah. She's like, duh.
Totally. Some people are just like, goes over their head, or they're like, what? That's just how planes are. Yeah, oh my God. Yeah. You're off my show.
Yeah.
Pull
fired.
The mic. You're fired. Guest, you're fired. You don't get it. Okay. And then another question. What was the economic state of the community you grew up in, especially those that you were close with and identify with? Do you find yourself in a similar economic state now? How does that impact us?
Yeah, so that's really important, and I really like to get into this to like, I have a lot of clients who have been like first generation or their parents were first generation. And this is so, and also just, I'll get into the broadness of this as well. But I really like to say, number one, we're a human family. I'm totally like about consciousness and oneness. So I like to say to like my brothers and sisters of color, like, my Latinas and Latinos, like, my Middle Eastern family, whatever, man, wherever you grew up, it is so, and also like me, white trash, like wherever you grew up, whatever that was for you, you need to take such a heavy look at what the community modeled back to you culturally of what would be possible. What's your glass ceiling? What would be possible to achieve? Because whatever that is, it's still holding you back if it didn't reflect exactly what you want in life physically. So that's huge. And so like, we'll let you see what you answered, and I can break it down a little bit.
Is this where we get this, continuation of a pattern of like old money, where you have like, my God, this family made a bunch of money in 1840, and like every generation after that just crushes, and they're still rich.
Why? Because they're surrounded around people who have great financial advisors. They know how to invest. They know what to do with money. They already feel fully deserving and expanded in it. It's not crazy that they're the ones who continue to create wealth over and over and over again, and you want to learn how to invest and have the best financial advice, go hang out with some of your friends that come from, inheritance or whatever. They're the best ones to start asking, who should be my financial? And I'm like, also huge on reading financial books. I think empowering yourself of what to do with finances once you have them is so important. Some of my favorites, Tony Robbins, his book was actually phenomenal. That's like, stop doing mutual funds and, not just stocks, go into low index funds, which, are kind of the same thing in a way. But his book was fantastic. I love the David Bach series, I think is what his name is, which is like The Smart Women Finish Rich or Smart Couples Finish Rich. Really breaks it down. It's very simple. Go get yourself a financial advisor. I don't care if you're like a fucking waitress. Put 30% away in savings. With that 30% every year, invest it. It will start to turn into a lot more money. So it's learning how to be really smart with money once you have it so that you're living off of passive income that's just continuing to, you're living off your interest eventually. But yes, that's why people in wealth continue to have cycles and cycles of wealth. It's why people who grew up in poverty continue to have cycles and cycles and cycles of poverty. And you, no matter which one you come from, you can 100,000% manifest yourself in either which direction you want. Doesn't matter.
We'll be right back at you after this brief but important announcement. So, if you listen to the show that I talk a lot about keeping your environment toxin-free, right? And the most important part of your house to keep toxin-free is where? Your bedroom, obviously, right? So I've searched the world over to find the best organic bedding. I'm not talking about the stuff they sell at Target and West Elm. God bless them, at least they're trying, but it's really not legit. So I found this company called Alterapure, and those are the sheets and bedding that I'm currently using now. They're organic, pesticide-free, and non-GMO. They're also super down with fair trade, social equity, environmental and social sustainability, and they're just very transparent. You can find out anything you want to know about their product. They are no secrets, completely open. And a lot of companies that sell bedding are not. Try getting them on the phone and grilling them about the chemicals they use. They are not going to tell you anything. Alterapure is legit. I'm 100% behind them, and I love sleeping on their sheets. So go to alterapure.com. That's ALTERRAPURE, alterapure.com. And even better yet, of course, I got you hooked up with a discount. The discount code is Lifestylist. Enter that at checkout and you will save a cool 15%. Their stuff is already very affordable for the level of quality that they're providing, but you're going to save an extra 15% using the code Lifestylist at alterapure.com. Check it out. And now back to the interview. Next question was, what were conversations around money like, positive or negative? And because I had quite a lot of contrast between the two parents, I was looking at that. And I think, it's funny because, although I had one parent that had considerably more money than the other, they were both very practical and frugal about money, not in a stingy, paranoid way, but, they balanced their checkbooks. They never had debt, even though one made more than the other. So it's funny that as I grew into adulthood, I did the exact opposite and was just like completely irresponsible and careless with money from day one up until quite recently in the last couple of years, finally kind of getting that spiritual lesson. But the conversations around money, I think on the dad side, the one that had more of it, were very positive in terms of reinforcing. He used to always he'd tell me to do something. I'd go, Dad, I can't. And he would say, there's no such word as can't.
Awesome,
like you can do anything. You can be anything. He was like a great dad in that
That's
sense.
Awesome.
And he wasn't like, oh, you're too dumb to ever be successful or, like.
Totally, yeah.
I mean, he had his issues and all that, but around money, specifically the conversations I would say were positive. And he was someone that was wealthy, but never looked down on other people at all that didn't have money or even, I mean, it was like there was no difference between him and his workers or whatever. You know what I'm saying? He wasn't like a dick as some wealthy people are. He wasn't an elitist. He's very much like grassroots dude.
Totally.
Salt to the earth kind of guy. He just figured out the code.
Yeah.
And
he was willing to play the game.
He did it. So I was like, I don't think I got anything negative about money from that. And then Mom was frugal and responsible. And I think maybe there might have been, because there were a couple men in the periphery that had money and that were also jerks at the time, that there's
your fifth block.
That there was like rich dudes are dicks.
Yeah, that's got to go. Yeah,
and that you're like, there wasn't like a positive role model per se of someone with a lot of money around. And so,
but what I would focus on, even with the listeners, and maybe I should change the wording of this, what were the subliminal messages about money that you were picking up? And for you, emotional messaging, I would call it energetic messaging, is when you have money, you get abandoned. When you're obsessed with money, you can't show up as a dad and be present. Being happy means being poor. There's a lot of messaging going on there subliminally and energetically that you were imprinting. That maybe I should change the wording of that question.
Right.
And then some people do have outright conversations that are like, rich people suck because, again, they're expanders and we're envious of them. We need to change that perception. Right. But most importantly, it's what were the subliminal messages being picked up around money.
Right. So even if your parents didn't verbalize, their point of view about it, you're still taking in data all the time, right?
If you were a woman that was programmed, or a man, but if you were a woman, it's more common, marry well for money. That's the only way to get ahead. Like all of that subliminal messaging. Maybe your family never said that, but that's what was being subliminally transferred to you. If you want to be a woman or a man, but a woman who is self-made and really makes a career of themselves, it's a block. It has to go. The universe is your bank. That has to go. So really looking at the subliminal messaging.
Next question was, what was money used for? Survival, control, external validation, manipulation, perfectionism, status? What I got out of that was, again, two different answers on two different sides, having two homes kind of, with divorced parents and all. But I would say more so just basic survival with the parent that had less of it. But then admittedly, as my dad's gotten older and much more enlightened, we talk about such things, and he spent most of his life just wanting to get richer and richer and richer because he felt inferior on the inside. And he could be like, I own all these properties and therefore I'm worth something.
I've made it,
and now people, of course, he's retired and, one of his, I don't know if it's a regret in life, but he's like, God, I wish I would have spent way less time and energy trying to make money and buy shit. It's about relationships and connection and things like that as he's finding. Now he's kind of on the spiritual side,
but
right?
He can have that because he achieved it. Not that you can't find that without achieving it, but for the person who's yearning and wanting, why don't you actually just achieve it so that you don't care anymore, so that you can why not do it younger? I mean, I'm only 33. I'll be 34 next year. And all of my needs are met that way. I'm not in survival whatsoever anymore. And now I can ask these much bigger questions and actually start to lean into these much more important facets of life where I spent all of my life trying to get out of the cycle that I grew up in. And more importantly, for freedom to do anything I creatively want to do, how I want to do it, when I want to do it, on nobody else's time, my way. And now I get to be like, okay, cool. I have that. So now, like, what's life really about? And so that goes back to that.
Yeah. Yeah, that's amazing. I'm actually seeing those patterns in people that I've observed that are going back now and sort of backfilling the inner work. And for me, it's backwards. It's just funny.
Yeah. And
Um,
it's funny to really acknowledge, like, arguably you did all of that work, obviously to get out of addiction and a lot of cycles, but you kind of did it as another form of control because of your dad and mom. You really did. You were from this exact messaging in a way. It's like, that really hurt, I'm sure, when I was that age, that we abandoned dad and he had essentially emotionally abandoned us. And so because of that, I want to do opposite now that I'm on my track, and I'm going to not need of anything and be in surrender. And it's another way to control not having that pain reoccur. But if we can get on the above that, and we can get down in the subconscious and change that, then now our life is our own. And that's why I say, like, when it comes to politics, the climate right now and everything, like political climate, not actual climate, because that's like something, that's just so out of hand. I mean, a lot of things are out of hand, but that's like really out of hand. But when it comes to like, we see all of this, like, in the current political landscape of people that are like reposting and so angry and, we've call out culture. But nobody's listening to each other's sides. Nobody gives a shit. Nobody hears. We're all in our own algorithm, right? We're not really hearing it. We're all just reinforcing our own side and pissing off the other side. Two giant echoes. That's all that's happening, right?
Yeah, it's funny.
But if we actually just, did this for a sec, went and empowered ourselves subconsciously where we're feeling inferior, where we have to do that, no matter what the oppression is, everybody has a different form of oppression. If we all, no matter what walk of life we come from, we go down and we empower ourselves on a subconscious level where we're like, A, that's not our story anymore. B, we're not taking that bullshit anymore. C, we can have anything we want in life. Guess what dissolves? The fucking tension and all, it stops, because whatever we are projecting subconsciously, we're being met with in reality. When we start to project something very different, it no longer comes into our reality. So if collectively, like I'll take accountability in this, like collectively, we as all women, on a subconscious level, not a conscious level, started to go, nah, fuck it. No, I won't be catcalled anymore. I deserve this. Nobody can do that. X, Y, and Z. I'm empowered. There will be no glass ceiling. I can have anything that a man can have. All of those barriers go collectively if women do that, because there's nothing to be up against anymore. There's no polarity. So it's like, I just want to say that to empower anybody, no matter where you come from, it does not have to be your story. True freedom, ultimate freedom, is subconsciously creating whatever story you want in your mind and having that, which is 1,000% possible, no matter where you come from, how, what, oppression. Like, take your real power back on a subconscious level, then your whole reality outside of you changes. If we all did that, then so do the laws, so does the House, so do politics, like, because there's nothing there to have inferiority or power over anymore.
Nice. Yeah. Like I said in one of my interviews in New York, somebody dropped a knowledge bomb, and I was like, if that mic wasn't $200, I'd ask you to drop it right now.
Totally.
But then we could be abundant and just buy a new one. Break it. Slam that shit on the floor.
Totally.
Well, I want to cover a couple more of these questions. I'm not going to do them all, and because we don't have time to do that, and it's not necessary, and I want to get into more stuff. But one of them was, were you put down or inferior because you didn't have money?
That's huge. So huge. This one's maybe one of the biggest questions.
I wanted to throw that one in there because I was like, whoa, yeah, that's a big one.
So shame is at the root of every block we have subconsciously. It's always shame. You can break down this, that, pain, yada, yada. It all comes back to shame. And what does shame create? It creates the shadow. So it means that we reject an aspect of ourselves that either we were unlovable for or we witnessed other people being unlovable for. We literally get rid of it and create this ego shell in order to hopefully be accepted in love and life, because it's so painful being shamed. It is so painful. And poverty or money, or even, clients in wealth I've had who would be shamed if they lived in a town and they were the only wealthy people. Then it's like a different form of shadow and hiding to just be accepted and have equity and be oneness. That's all what we're all really seeking at the end of the day. If we all just want to be loved and accepted for who we are authentically. So wherever we have shadow or shame around money, that's a great roadmap to learn how we are actually trying to manifest exterior things to make us happy, rather than going from our core, like I said before, where it's just an expression or it's going to give me the root of freedom. We can lie to ourselves, but if we don't address our shame around finances and integrate, own that power again through the shadow workshop, we're literally blocking money from coming through because we're not living in our whole, most worthy, authentic selves. That's where true magnetism lies. So it's a really big one to start to really get honest with ourselves consciously, but most importantly, subconsciously, and shift it wherever there was shame around money.
That's interesting because the shame can go both ways.
Totally.
You know, like
people forget that.
I don't think I ever had shame about having too much money. But I remember at times when I was a kid, I would have, a couple friends that were from a wealthy family or whatever that I went to school with. And I would go over to their house after school and I'd be like, oh my God, these guys are ballers.
Yeah.
And they would have a sick house. And they'd be like, let's go over to your house, Luke. And I was like,
yeah.
Oh no, where's Missy's? Like I would avoid having certain little rich friends come over to my apartment because I felt they would judge me and I was embarrassed about it or whatever, And so it's funny, I actually just had a connection. I was thinking about that when you were talking. And ever since I've been out on my own at 19 years old as an adult, I've always had a really nice place. And I love I don't know. I like nice design and I like it too, but I just had this connection. I was like, oh, I've never had like a super shitty place because I always want to have people come in and be like, damn, wow, this place is dope. Like,
it's
that's
like your dad, where it's like, oh, cool, people respect me. And what we're really saying is like, okay, cool, I'm lovable now. Cool.
Yeah. Interesting. Wow, you're good.
Oh, thank you.
You really get in there at this stuff. Yeah. So, all right. So we start to have a bunch of those other questions. I'm going to leave them be because I want to kind of put a nice bow on this. So we're uncovering really the subconscious blocks here, and we're looking at all the different ways in which we're stuck because of things that were imprinted on us by our environment and our experiences as we've come up.
Yeah.
And that these things are operational at a subconscious level, and that no matter how many positive affirmations I do, I still have to get in and look at that nasty stuff and embrace that shadow and all of those old beliefs and cobwebs in order to actually have those positive affirmations, thoughts, and feelings
actually
manifest.
Become true. Yeah.
Right?
Yes,
is that
totally.
Is that kind of the deal?
Absolutely. And like the biggest takeaway for everybody is the whole pursuit of this work that is totally different than, traditional manifestation work, is to become subconsciously worthy, to become subconsciously deserving. That is the magnetic pull. So it's nothing about being positive, speaking your life into existence, your vision boards. I demystify all of that for you. The fast track is to become subconsciously deserving and to go and expand so that there's space for it to come through. Those are the biggest takeaways out of this. So, and that goes for everything. Today's episode was money, but that goes for a relationship, that goes for a career, that goes for shifting careers, it goes for if you want a house, like it really is applicable, the formula, to every single thing you're manifesting in the physical plane, and also a lot of energetic things as well.
And so if we're able to discover and discern what those blocks are subconsciously, and we can bring them to light and bring them conscious, then you talked earlier about putting ourselves in this hypnotic state where then we can undo those.
Yeah.
You're literally
rewiring a different
deservingness. And you do that. I listened to one today, and I got to say, I was pretty amped up. I took a bunch of qualia today, and I got pretty freaking hyper. I got to tone it down a little on that. But anyway, I was like in a rush to kind of prep for the episode and stuff, and I wanted to do some of this work so we'd really have something meaty to dig into. And I laid on the floor in my office and I put on headphones and I listened to your voice and I went through the thing and then I did the writing afterward. And I was like, oh my God, I'm hella relaxed. Yeah. I don't know. You had some binaural beats on that shit or what was going on, but like I know when I'm put in that theta spot, and it immediately did that.
Into sympathetic,
Yeah, very interesting.
Yeah.
If someone, for whatever reason, finds your course inaccessible, or they don't relate, or they're a guy, or whatever the case may be, like how can someone kind of do that work on their own and find these blocks and how can I hypnotize myself if I'm not listening to your voice as I did today?
Yeah, I've tried so many different methods, and truthfully, we're putting out a course in December where I give people other options, other quicker ones, just subconscious, different ways to reprogram. I've tried a lot of things. It's kind of what just works for you. I have some friends who are like, I'll journal. The real problem is like, I do encourage do it alongside the workshop because the workshop's designed in a way to make you get the quickest to the root of something. But if you're not connecting with the deep imagining, is what I call my hypnotic process, you can go try NPL or NLP. You can go try all sorts of things exist out there that some friends get super hypnotic journaling as one of their things. I'm trying to think of the other successful ways. EMDR is very successful for this work. I myself will break down things, do the DRE, and then be like, I want to get this out of my body when it's a deep groove. And I'll go to my therapist and do EMDR with her. I will say I've taught myself how to do it. I'm just really quick. So I've taught myself how to do my own EMDR after so many sessions. But I do prefer doing it with someone else because it does take me deeper. What are some other ones that people really like? Yeah, those are some tools there that cool. People can try. It's really whatever's working for you. And yeah, that's my biggest, I just want people manifesting. Just manifest. You can have what you want. You deserve what you want if you get aligned with that on the subconscious level.
It's interesting because, at the core of these limitations that we have, as you've said, is shame, right? And these preconceived ideas, these traumas, these things that have been sort of implanted in us. And it is difficult to just get rid of them on your own. In other words, how do you get more self-love and self-respect? And some people on the sort of surface level be like, oh, go get a massage. That's self-care, self-love. And I'm like, yeah, I still walk out of a massage and feel like a loser because I got a parking ticket or whatever. You know what I mean? Yeah. So I've been working a lot the last year and a half on just my own worth. And I'm sitting here thinking as I'm talking to you, I'm like, well, how did I do that? I don't really know. I think
there's phases and there's layers too.
It's funny.
And some people get really quick. Like I'm at a place now with my team and we're putting out this album next year that's just about reinforcement of neuroplasticity. So it's not even about unblocking. And we're doing it in tandem because we're doing a 30-day challenge right now for all of November for everybody to do the DRE every single day and see what happens. And it's crazy. Like when you do it in group and together, people are like, whoa, holy fuck, stuff's happening so quickly for me. But the reinforcement aspect rather than the unblocking is like Superman power of what that does. It's so crazy. And for me, when I get into the process enough, I have luckily, I guess the gift of energetics of understanding what's happening at all times. But at this point, it's so quick for me. I hardly ever have to really do, I'll know when I have to do the deep imagining, and the other things I'll know when it's just like visualizing it, not visualizing what I want, but visualizing in a hypnotic state, something coming out of my body and popping it, being like, that's no longer my story. Like the littler things that don't have those deep grooves.
Right.
So it's just like layers of also passing tests or walking through our fears does this very quickly for us. It grows our self-worth very fast. And that's just like conscious and actionable. So wherever we're afraid, and then we just do it and we realize that we don't die or, the world doesn't end, then we've just built our self-worth up a little bit more. So there's a lot of conscious ways we can be doing different aspects of this work.
Right. That's interesting because I do that a lot. Pretty much anytime I realize I'm a little bit afraid of something, I just make myself do it.
That's magnetism.
I torture myself constantly by just I'm nervous about that. Just jump in.
Just do it. That will create instant magnetism for someone.
Yeah, that's interesting because I'm trying to unpack for myself. Like, how did I've come really far in the past year and a half.
Watch your patterns. That's what you'll know. Like really going back.
And I'm like, wait, what did I do? And I guess it is some of those things, you know. And also having boundaries, I think.
That's huge again. Pure magnetism.
That's been a big part of coming to like and accept myself more, and also spending a lot more time alone.
That's huge.
And sinking into that loneliness and uncomfortable feeling of not having
it's facing another fear,
others to distract you or whatever, just being like, wow, my life is this.
You're like, whoa. Yeah. I'm an Aquarius, so there's times like when I'm up at the retreat house, I won't see anybody in a week and I'll just be in the mountains like by myself for I love it. So, but I'm also just like channeling all the time and tapping in deeper. But I could go so long without, I love not being around anyone. It's amazing.
Wow. Yeah. I'm just sort of growing into that.
It's so powerful.
But I think
though.
it was necessary to be able to like, again, it's sort of like walking through fears, but walking through feelings of being uncomfortable and having the impulse like, oh, I'm going to text the homies, like, who wants to go get a burger? And it's like, no.
It's a new level of worth.
Yeah, it's like, no, let me just be with what this uncomfortable feeling is until it becomes comfortable and normal. And then, I don't know, it's funny to watch, like, also watch neediness sort of dissipate. And it's like, yeah, it's nice when people are around, or it'd be nice to be in a relationship, but it's also nice to just chill and kick it with Cookie.
One of the, I know, who wouldn't want to just hang out with her the whole time? One of the...
I didn't do that for a long time. It was almost a year and a half when I got her on my latest mission of self-discovery. And then once I felt really comfortable with myself, then I got the dog.
And look at it, so reflective. She's so happy, and you guys both have such good... Like, you guys have a give and take that's not communicated as well. That's really wonderful. Yeah. But back to what you were saying, which is really important for people to understand with magnetism, there are 4 pillars of magnetism. We have roadmaps on these. One's totally in your authenticity, meaning you're not doing an ego dance when you're around people. And, you know, like, oh my God, will they like me? What do I do? How do I be cool? How do I present? That, like, what I did was essentially I surveyed my top 5 most magnetic clients to be like, they're so different, but what do they have in common? And it was these 4 pillars.
Ooh, cool.
And so that's one of them, pure authenticity. So we have a roadmap that takes you totally through, like, it's like if you're working with someone, it's like 3 months, week by week, what to do in the conscious state, what to do in the unconscious state to reinforce each other so that it's a lot quicker. So it's authenticity integrated, meaning really fully dealing with your shadow, like totally owning your power. Expanded, so it's what we talked about with the 8 people and expanders. But what you were touching on, which is, I would argue, the one that, aside from authenticity, that makes you the most magnetic, is called free. And it's one that I, luckily, because my parents were so good at this, they taught me, where you don't settle for anything less than your worth. You don't need anything. You don't need anyone. Like, there's a level of power to that. And it's not like to be powerful. It's literally the sense of not needing anyone or anything, knowing that our worth is above the like the utmost standard, and not settling for anything less than it. It's what helps you learn how to really pass tests. So, like, let's say when you're calling in a partner and I say the shiny objects come through that are so emotionally unavailable, and you being like, I know something better's coming. Like that level. Totally. That's magnetism. Yeah. So you learning.
I've experienced that a bit.
And also recently. Just what you've been doing for the last year of like, no, I'm going to sit with like, you've been consciously teaching yourself the free pillar of magnetism.
Wow. I didn't even know I was doing that. A lot of the shit that I do,
it's intuitive.
I just make it up.
See?
You know what I mean?
But you're so intuitive at this point. You live your life so intuitively.
Well, it's true. And then once it works, then I'm able to share it with other people, you know, which is obviously what you've done. And, you know, created these insane, like, amount of formula.
It's so weird.
Right? It's cool, because I'm always thinking, how does she come up with all this stuff? And it's like, well, you do it, and then you go,
it's self-experimentation. Yeah. And I dropped the old new age model of manifestation at 25, because it was like, man, this doesn't really ever, like, little things come through and stuff. But when I started to notice really fucking kismet things were coming through, like partners on my list with long blonde surfer hair and Parisian moms, or like a $300 apartment in Echo Park that has all the things, I was like, okay, I'm powerful and something's happening here, and it's never in those ways. So I need to watch, what do I do when that results in that? So I started to learn my own personal patterning, and I started to honor the gift that I have, that I can read energetics. So that's all it was just self-discovery. I would argue that I've been put on the planet to do this. Like, I had to live through everything I've lived through in order to understand and have empathy for every individual on the planet. Like, when I work with someone, I like to say that I'm trying to unblock to be literally nothing, not one label. So, and this just, what preempted that is that when I work with people, I become fully neutral. It's like, you could be a mass murderer who just got out of incarceration, who is now wanting to manifest. And I'd be like, cool, I'll help you. And there's not one judgment. I'm going to show you how to do that. Or the Mother Teresa. So I'm totally empty of judgment, because I don't put labels on them or anyone. And I also tried to unblock that in myself. So that, like, it's just self-exploration, and it's like my own form of science. It's so bizarre. And that's what you're doing. You do that as well. And that's why the guides came through, to be like, why hasn't he put his own thing out there?
Yeah.
May it be teaching, may it be a product. I don't know what that is.
It's funny that you mentioned that earlier in the kitchen there, because I had a plan, for my brand. It's funny.
See, look, you don't believe it fully.
No, the brand. It's just funny, the brand. Like, oh, I'm a brand. It's just, it's funny.
Yeah.
To me, that's funny. I'm not being self-deprecated. It's just like, I'm trying to find a word for like that thing, and I can never come up with a better one.
Like coach and things. I hate those words, which we talked about on the last time.
But as I started the podcast, and honestly, just for the podcast, I just wanted to get into this industry, and I wanted to do it as quickly as possible. And I had no credibility or a name in the health and wellness and spirituality and stuff. So, I mean, quite transparently, I'll just say that I know that I'm decent at talking to people and having conversations that are informative and inspiring, hopefully. And so I thought, well, if I'm going to make content, that would be the one I could do most consistently, and probably
the best platform for you.
Yeah, it was the best thing. I'm not going to write a blog. Videos are pain in the ass, et cetera. So I do the podcast.
Nobody tunes into all of them as much anymore.
But my goal was never, oh, I'm going to be a podcaster.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not a fucking podcaster. I have a way bigger vision.
Yeah.
And I do and did have a plan. There's different phases of this thing I'm building, and it takes 2 or 3 years to kind of get to the different phases. And so there's been the coaching phase of working with people one-on-one and on and on. And what I recently have found is just like, what am I the most happy doing? Even the types of shows that I'm the most happy doing. And it's really more in the realm of spirituality than the physical health.
Yeah.
And so I'm into...
I don't know about you, Luke, but like somebody who had major endocrine issues, like I can almost say that I feel like I've been healing them almost totally with my mind, as well as intuitive eating, like getting away from all of this stuff. I'm so curious. We should have a talk about that one day on some other thing.
Yeah. Well,
when you come on mine.
Well, here's the thing. There's two sides to this. One is that I'm just a super geek, and I love all the gadgets and supplements and herbs. And
I do too. I have the biomat and the sauna and all the things.
I don't know if addicted might be a strong word, but definitely like very passionate and borderline obsessed about all this stuff. It's just fun. I like seeing what different stuff does to you, basically, and just kind of being a guinea pig. But really, the purpose of all the physical stuff and all the biohacking for me is just to have enough physical energy so that you can get the download to do what you're supposed to do.
It's your way to channel.
It's a means to an end. It's just, I have to feel like fucking crazy amounts of physical energy and wellness and clarity in order to do my spiritual mission.
I see.
So it's like fine tuning the vehicle of the meat suit so that it can drive as far as you need it to go. As far and as fast and as powerfully as I need it to go. So
that makes sense.
It's never about like, it's just a step in getting there. But a lot of people that are on the journey that get into biohacking and health and stuff, they think like that's the be all end all. Like, oh, if I'm in keto, I'll be happy. I'm like, dude, you're not going to get there with a supplement.
Yeah, totally.
But it's also hard to be a great person and be loving out in the world when you feel like shit and you're sick and you have autoimmune and Lyme. And, I mean, if I don't get enough sleep, I'm like 80% more of a dick. You know what I mean?
Same.
It's like,
awful. Yeah.
It's, I can quantify it very, very clearly. And so where I've been in the career is like, oh, I really love, teaching elements of Kundalini yoga and meditation and just addiction recovery.
Totally.
And just, I've managed to overcome by the grace of God so many gnarly things in my life. I have a lot to offer in that area and just helping people become free of their mind. I know how to do it. Like, you have a roadmap for this. I have a roadmap for becoming free.
That's incredible that you have that sight of patterning.
But because the show is largely about health and stuff like that, I sort of get asked to do a lot of talks on that and things like that. I'm like, it's fun and it's more novelty for me.
Yeah.
The real stretch for me is to show up with none of that bullshit and just be like, hey, let's talk about God.
Yeah.
How about that?
Let's get down.
Right?
Yeah.
So recently I made a decision. I was like, I'm done like getting my pigeonholing myself into this one thing. And then I've struggled like as a brand kind of, well, am I this guy or am I that guy? And I finally just decided I'm both.
Ah, fantastic.
That's my thing.
This is what I mean by subconscious clarity, because things are going to start coming through now that are both.
Yeah, and I had this idea like, well, no, you have to be like the health guy and like, do the paleo effects and bulletproof conference and you're that dude and you do all the devices and all the herbs and all the things. Or you stop all that and you become like Mr. Mindfulness guy. Yes. And I'm, for those not watching, I'm making the mudra hands as the Instagram meditator.
That's your same polarity of a block too, and it is. Money. It's funny.
Right.
So you're a Scorpio. I mean, this isn't crazy. That's polarizing.
Very much so. Yeah. And so I kind of just recently made peace with that. I went, no, I'm just going to do both things. And that's great. I'll be the first guy that's like crushing it on both levels. Yes. How powerful is that?
And I have to interject that it's also not kismet that you made that like that conscious, subconscious, I'll say that, subconscious clarity. Things in love are feeling really good, and that we are now having this conversation in money, because what it does show me energetically is all of that's going to start coming through too if you get clear on it and unlocked, period. It's not even a question. It'll happen 1,000%.
Yes.
So do
it. I see the house in Topanga Canyon.
There you go. Yes. No, it's no longer the lights in the hills. It's Topanga. Yeah, that's where I'm looking to next.
Well, I'm very specific about where I want to be.
Me
and
too.
I think that's the most logical next step. But anyway, to summarize the experience that I recently had from just finding a vision and a way to integrate that. Well, I already can book myself on all these health conferences and all that stuff. Yeah. That's kind of like, they like the way I do that. But to really step out, the real scary move for me was to do like my first workshop. That's just, I'm not talking about anything health related, just like, boom, let's dive like right into mind, into ego, into the metaphysical realm. And I recently, made myself do the scary thing. I emailed Guru Jagat actually. And I was like, hey, I'm going to be in New York. No pressure, but maybe I could do something at Rama. Dude, she emailed me back. Yeah. It was like in 60 seconds. She's like, all she said was 1,000% team, make it happen. And there was like 8 girls
on
CC,
it. Like 8 beautiful girls in white. We're like making that happen.
Yeah, her amazing team of wizard women.
Totally.
And they were like, cool, boom, here's the date, blah, 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 blah. And it was just done. And then I was sort of like, oh, shit, what do I do?
Now you have to step up.
Yeah.
This is why we're having this. I can tell you, this is why we're having this conversation. It's all starting to happen. You're starting to step up. And that's why I don't want to wake up at 2 a.m. Okay? Like, guides, like if you could let me
say it now. The floor is yours.
Yeah. But this is why they woke me up to have this conversation. I mean, obviously, this conversation came about a couple of days ago, but clearly a message had to come through to you. Clearly, you're supposed to be doing this work right now. It's all in motion. They're just needing you to be like, get clear, feel deserving, stop being in polarity about like, oh my God, am I bad if I have it? Or can I, get clear, because we're ready to give this to you. That's all that's going on. So you are already taking all of the perfect steps. Now it's time on a subconscious level to get very expanded and get very unblocked, because you have a magnetism savings account happening right now. So 2019, exciting.
This is a funny episode, Lacy.
I know, like, your poor listeners.
I know. I kind of feel like a jerk because it's like all about me.
I think people can resonate with much that's said.
I don't. It is what it is. This is the way I roll sometimes. I mean, it's even when I interview someone about health. I mean, I'm like, hey, I'm having this issue. Like, let's fix it.
Yeah.
And hopefully others are having that, and obviously they are. But
money, I can guarantee that about 90% of the people here are like, yes, thank you for initiating this conversation. We feel just the same. Yeah.
So to finish the story of the latest chapter and how this is unfolding, so they were like, yes, do the thing, and I was like, oh God, what thing? I don't. I was like, I got a workshop. They're like, we need a name, and I said, the High Love Experience.
Perfect.
And they're like, cool, send us a description. I'm like, I don't know what it is yet.
Yeah.
But then I made my description. I know exactly what it is. And it's funny, I opened up Evernote and I gave myself a 3-hour window, and I was like, part 1, do, mantra here, breath work here, ding, 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 ding. And it was like amazing and flawless.
Totally.
And then the day I did, I didn't even look at it again. I made a Spotify playlist.
It's your channeling.
And the day I did it, I was like, wait, I didn't really time the kriyas and the things. And I was like, I can't go overtime.
I've had like 3-hour workshops there before that I've done. So I don't think they care.
Well, then I actually did time it out. And then I added it up on my phone calculator so that it was 3 hours, and it was exactly 3 hours.
Perfect.
And I went and did the thing. people laughed, people cried, which was my goal.
Great.
And then I ended at 10 p.m. Boom, like longtime son out.
Done.
And it was freaking flawless.
That's so fantastic.
And I had the most profound experience doing it. And the people there, I mean, I'm not to toot my own horn, but they were pretty fucking psyched.
Yeah.
Like, it was a powerful experience.
It's such a great community too.
It was a powerful experience.
Dude, I'm so excited for you.
It was rad. So then the vision was like, oh, I don't have to be either or.
Nope.
And I don't even have to do shit that's either or. I can just do my own things and bring it all in.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Yeah, do retreats. Let's go to Costa Rica. Cool. Come hang out for 10 days and we're going to like learn all the things.
Totally.
And go full
and biohack
on.
If we want. Like whatever.
Yeah, all that. So.
Oh my God, I'm so excited for 2019 for you. I cannot wait what happens. This is what gets me. I'm like a little hobbit. I'm like, ooh, so much is coming.
And this conversation is, the next pivotal point in that.
It's going to push it into higher care
I'm getting into doing your work. I mean, I already did, day
one
of the, day
I will
one
say
today.
It's important to revisit. So like 3 months after you finish, revisit. And also any block you're coming up against right now, Luke, because the universe does have things it wants to give you. You just need to be able to receive it, meaning having space and feeling unblocked about it. So any of those blocks you discover in this workshop, please take them through the daily reprogramming exercise until you feel like, cool, no, I feel really deserving now on a subconscious level of that. Because it's not a coincidence that all this is going down. If we were in session, I would be like, yes, like it's time. Right now is the time.
Cool.
So I'm excited for you.
What a great experience. Thank you for that.
You're so welcome.
And you have a course. What's the course that's coming out in December?
It's a good one.
I think we're actually getting this out in time for people.
I really hope so, because this is so important for next year.
Sometimes people are, they come on the show and they have a book or a thing, and it comes out 3 months later, and they've already done it.
Like, it doesn't matter.
No,
but
I think we're good for whatever you reached out to me about.
Cool.
So just tell us what you've got going on.
So those eclipses.
Because I'd love for other people to have the experience that I'm having today.
Oh, totally. Yeah. And which you can arrive at with any of the workshops as well. But this one specifically, I'm really stoked on, because after the eclipses, I don't know about you guys, but like everybody I talked to felt like they had just been knocked off by a wave, right? Because we're asking to be shifted into our most aligned selves. So a lot of people went through rock bottoms. I mean, I see it all over the Facebook group. I was seeing it, in the workshops. And so
when were these eclipses you speak of?
They were they finished up in like August and September. I went through a rock bottom, like a lot of people I know. Basically, a really important message. I saw that there was a really irresponsible backlash happening to rock bottoms that people do not understand about manifestation, because they've been taught, this new age rhetoric. The first thing I want to say is the universe never punishes you. It's always here to guide you. It'll guide you through tough love if you're not growing your worth quick enough and something is really wanting to connect with you. That's all that's happening with a rock bottom. The universe is like, fuck, dude, you've been asking for this thing. I have it here for you right now. You're not growing your worth quick enough, so I'm going to earthquake you out of the nest to get you into your authentic self. People take it as like, oh my God, I've been in a negative vibration, so that's why this terrible thing's coming through. That's not what's happening. So I was like, I have to put a course out so people can understand how to dance with these energetics, because when you do, the most amazing things connect with you that you've been asking for. For instance, mine, the book agent came through, the book deal came through, the better contractor came through that I couldn't seem to find for for a better price to stay within my budget of remodeling this house. So many things have materialized because I knew how to dance with it. So I was like, so we were putting out a shame course. Cookie's like really, really getting an itch right now for anybody listening next to me. So I was putting out this course for just rock bottoms, but I was like, oh, I want everybody to benefit from this, because we go through many of these cycles in 1 year. So it's going to be basically like 3 workshops in one that's called Up Level. So it's for the rock bottomer who's just been literally like, whether it's the worst breakup of your life all of a sudden, whether it's like a financial despair, you just lost your job, like whatever, like you were bullied, something happened where you're like, holy fuck, what just happened to me? So that's one of the things inside of it. There's also going to be the one called for the rut. It's the person who's just like cannot get out of the cycle, cannot get out of the rut. You know, they can't see the light. That's a very specific energetic dance with the universe as well. And then there's one for the person who's magnetic and manifesting, but they're like, I want to take this to the next level. So we have it for 3 people in one. All of us tend to move through all of those. So I wanted it to be something that people could revisit when they're in any space, because the energetics are so specific and they're so different than what's out there that's like negative, positive, all these things. Because if you harness it correctly, so much magic happens. So that launches on December 26th. It's called Up Level. So if anybody's in any of those situations, which I would argue everybody is in all of those or one of them, this is for you. It's going to be great. And it's all video. So it's really cool. And video, like there will be 3 new subconscious reprogramming exercises in it. There's going to be like great prompts in it, all sorts of really wonderful stuff.
Is that what you were shooting today?
Yeah, I know. Yeah? I shot the teaser today.
Oh, okay,
so
cool.
We're putting the teaser up this Monday.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. People are already asking for it. We're like, so we're really excited for that
good for you.
one.
That's awesome.
Yeah. And then we have a new rebrand that's starting January 1st. It's going to be very cool. A new model of how we're doing our business, which is going to be super cool. And then as of around March, the house opens. So we're going to start holding residencies and retreats. And
that's amazing. How
I know.
Cool.
We're like creating this incredible mecca of community that we can unlock together. Like I like to call us the freest, like become the freest, subconscious, non-labeled, empowered, deserving to have anything we want on the planet.
That's so smart too, because I think there's really something powerful about full immersion where you take a group of people away from life. You know, I've done so many transformative workshops and retreats and things like that, and you walk away a different person.
Totally a different person. Especially, it's by osmosis, by being in nature, feeling supported, being able to ask questions, turning your phone off. Which
I did this thing last year called the Hoffman process up in
Yes,
Napa.
I remember.
Yeah.
And it's so funny because it's following me everywhere.
Really?
Everywhere. People are like, I was at the Hoffman. All my podcast guests are like, well, when I did the Hoffman Institute.
Really?
Yeah,
That's
it's everywhere.
funny.
I should just go do it.
I only knew one person that had even heard of it at the time when I did it, and the person that recommended it to me. Yeah, but it was good. It was powerful, but it's not going to solve everything, but it's one of the stepping stones where you dig a little bit deper and, more is revealed. Yeah, all of that stuff. And it wouldn't have been the same if it was like at the fucking LAX Sheridan. And I drove there every day at 8 a.m. or whatever.
Yeah.
Like,
you're immersed.
Yeah, to be out in the woods. First day, they're like, cool, where's your phone? I was like, no.
Oh, yeah.
No.
Yeah.
And watching the withdrawal of the phone and outside contact and all that stuff. So I'm excited for you. That's awesome.
I know. We're so stoked. You'll have to come, or you'll have to teach this new thing there.
Absolutely. That's amazing. I'm all for going away from the city.
I know.
It only takes like the slightest
invitation.
Yeah. I'm like, it's out of a city? Okay, let's do it.
I'll be there. Getting spring water.
Oh my God,
my own spring water.
Yeah, you probably have a spring.
Creek.
Really?
Yeah, I would be curious to see if you find a good spring.
I bet there's a spring around there.
It's such a trip that I grew up in this town. This is another thing I have to say for people who are feeling this political divide and, feeling so out of control. Go move to the place that's opposite of you. I'm like a screaming liberal, right? Like as liberal as they come. But I also appreciate that this house is in a very conservative area because I don't believe in like aggression and all of that. I'm a pacifist by nature. I believe go and be the pillar of inspiration that everybody wants to be like. And then they start to open up. They become a lot less fearful. It's by osmosis. It's by expanding. So that's like just another side note for the people who feel out of control in these situations. Go move to the place. Become a teacher. Like go move to the place and actually make an impact.
I've been observing. It's so tempting to talk about political things on the show, but I resist. And I have a lot of views that people would probably be surprised about, which is probably why I don't talk about it either. But
I know I try to refrain as well.
But one thing
I
I do think is definitely not productive, and I'll just say no matter what side you're on, is hating the people that hate people.
Nobody's listening. Love the people.
Hating the people that hate people is not the answer,
it's
folks.
It's never going to solve one thing. It's called the fucking same cycle that's been happening since the Roman empires. Yeah. Like, come on, dude. Do we have a new paradigm yet?
It brings to mind the, who was it? Was it Mother Teresa? I might get the person wrong, but
one of those saintly people.
She wouldn't participate in anti-war protest.
Totally.
Would only participate in pro-peace protest.
That's how I am as well. Yeah,
like that's
I'm a pacifist.
Yeah, that's the way you get things done. Yeah.
There's no other.
So that's cool. But I like that, like immersing yourself. It's funny though too.
I was gonna say, sorry, totally. I got sidetracked by that, but it's so rad. There's a 3-mile hike literally out the back door that takes you down to a massive river, and 3 miles after that, you're in Yosemite Park. So it's or 5 miles after that. So it's like, I had no idea that I was always drawn to this area, but you literally, as the bird flies, when you drive, you have to go like all the way around. It's 45 minutes to get to the park. But as the bird flies, it's literally like 10 miles out of the backyard into Yosemite. It's incredible. That's amazing. So there's definitely a spring somewhere, I assume.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. And if there is, I'll find it.
Okay.
Yeah. All right. Well, thank you so much for coming back to join me, and very fortuitous timing for hopefully a lot of our listeners, but definitely for me. And
I assume people getting ready for the new year.
It's I was joking earlier about feeling selfish for like making a show so personal, but listen, man, I set up all this shit. No one's here setting up all my lights and all these devices.
It is such a thing. It's amazing.
Speaking of being deserving, I'm thinking like, I actually do deserve to get some one-on-one sort of, coaching, as it were, because God damn, man, I work hard on this show, so.
It's so true.
I deserve to benefit too, but I'm sure other people really have, because the way you approach things is very different from a lot of the stuff that's out there.
Yeah, I basically was like, what didn't work for me? What does? Here's what I know.
I want to ask you one thing, and I don't know if you can say this because you don't want to be disparaging towards someone who's kind of in your realm, but I recently read a book by Jen Sincero called You're a Badass at Making Money.
Yeah.
I really liked that book. Mm-hmm. I think that kind of like kicked me off into the current space that I'm in about rethinking all of that. Yeah,
that you're capable of having what you want. I really dig it too. On a manifestation level, I'll just say that there's still a lot of superstitions in it. There's still a lot of like, if you stay in the thought process and all of that, which I think it's just people not knowing that you can harness everything by being whole and accepting your negativity, and because that's the real fast track. Mm-hmm. But I really respect the work she's doing and empowering writers, and I think it's so cool. I just feel like if you throw all the superstition away and just get down to the brass tacks, it's a pretty super speeded way to get there. Whatever way you want to take, just don't feel like you have to get caught up in, if we keep thinking like this, I'll have it one day. If I visualize this, it'll come one day. If I speak of this and I buy into that, it'll happen. Like whatever method is resonating with you, make sure that you are really engaging with what's showing up in your life that you don't like and the feelings you don't like, because they are your quickest roadmap in order to get what you do like.
Boom.
That's what I think.
Love it. Thank you for the feedback.
Yeah.
So once again, you've taught me so much here today, Lacy.
I'm so grateful. And you've taught me.
Who have been 3 teachers or teachings that you might share with the audience that they can go check out?
Yeah, last time I forget. I think I said Guru Jagat and some other people. I'm really into, and I may mispronounce his name right now, but Dr. DeMartini.
Don't know.
Are you familiar? You would love to have him on.
Dr.
Yes.
DeMartini. Okay.
I'm just like getting into his stuff, and it's all about a value system of how to delegate literally anything in your life that aren't your core values.
Oh, I need this.
Yeah. Oh, you will love this. He's like my expander now.
I need that.
Talk about like next level boundaries with yourself to be the most productive. He's like the biohacker of like your time. It's amazing.
My God, I need that. I just read a book called Essentialism.
Yeah, my creative consultant was reading that. Essentialism.
Yeah, and that was a similar kind of thing. Like, and I was like, okay, 95% of the shit I do every day, someone else could be doing.
Starting with,
or it doesn't move the needle, that I'm really looking to move in terms of the long term. So that's cool. I'm going to look up this. What is his name?
I think it's Dr. DeMartini. Okay. I forget his first name.
On it.
Super inspiring. Like, basically ran away from home at 13, became a surfer, like hitchhiked to California, then, was like a surfer in Hawaii and was like majorly dyslexic. And basically who was his name? Braggs. Like Briggs or Braggs, like the fucking apple cider vinegar.
Yeah.
He went to watch him
and the liquid aminos.
And the aminos. Yeah. He went to watch him speak, and something about it resonated so deeply. And he basically went onto this path. And he has a really amazing system. And I'm like, I love this system.
Cool.
So he's one right now. Who are some others lately that I've been so enamored by? God, again, this is like the question you asked me earlier, where I'm so present and in the moment. It's hard to go back onto me.
I get it. That's what happens when someone says, like, what's your favorite band?
I know,
like,
that's a really
top 10
hard
Desert
one.
Island albums. I'm like, I literally can't think of one music artist that I like.
You know who I never give enough credit to in this? My mom and dad, I have to say, actually, at this point in time, they really made me understand this manifestation technique because even though they were young and, you know, such an unplanned pregnancy, they're both such badasses. Even like what my mom struggles with addiction, but she still is like, like talk about boundaries. She's like, even when I told her that we were rebranding, she's so funny. She's like, I've got a name for what you should rebrand it to. www.gofuckyourself.com. She does not give a shit. She's a Libra that is like so authentic, does not need anything, you know, so she really taught me that free pillar. And then my dad, he's an Aquarius and like so creative, such a dreamer. I do have to say that every caretaker in my family, and I do say this for women who might be struggling with a glass ceiling, I notice in my clientele, women who identify like very strongly as like, you know, aggressive or like really wanting to help other women, most of the time they weren't empowered by a father they weren't parented, empowered by a father who said, you can do anything, have anything, and be equal to anyone. And I luckily did have that in a father and a mother and a grandmother and an aunt and an uncle and a lot of mom's boyfriends. Like everybody reflected that back to me for the most part. So I really just want to tell people who may go through the reparenting course, whatever gender you identify with, but namely women who feel like they are limited in glass ceilings or women's rights here in America, at least. And it's transferable to kind of anywhere. You need to go reparent the father wound. You need to reparent yourself into believing you can have absolutely anything you want, be equal to absolutely anybody you want. And I will say this, namely, like, again, I created a business out of thin air and I'm an over-earner out of every male in my family, every family member I have. I've completely created something that's my gift, my talent. So it's like, I have to give them a lot of credit for empowering me in those ways. And my dad would be the person who, he used to say this because even though I was like young and like a scruffy kid on a ranch and, you know, all this stuff. I had these two cousins that I grew up with that were like brothers who are magical, but they were kind of very helicoptered in the city and, you know, parents who really, really looked after everything for them. And my dad was like, you will be able to do anything you want and survive in any situation because you're so independent. So he really taught me all these really key teachings that I'm now teaching a lot in my work, you know? So I have to give them a lot of credit for being my teachers in really magical ways. And they're always chic. They're always cool. Yeah, there's just a lot there that I'll give them that hat today.
Well, there you go.
Yeah.
I appreciate that. And I would agree in my own experience too. You know, It takes a while. It takes getting a little bit older and wiser and having that perspective.
Totally.
To be able to see that, you know, when most kids are 18 or something, you're like, F my parents. They ruined my life.
Totally. Yeah.
And later on, it's like, oh no, it was just perfect. They were our
soul
perfect.
chose it. Like the exact experience we're having.
I have that too. And thankfully close to both my parents and very grateful for that too.
Awesome.
Yeah, I learned so much. So thank you for that.
Thank you.
So in closing, where can we find you on social media, URLs, anywhere you want to send people to listen to that we can put in the show notes for you?
It all kind of depends at what time of the year you're hearing this. But if it is before January 1st, you can find us at free+native.com, on Instagram at free+native. And we have a very secret, fun new name that's coming out. And then our Facebook group is called The Secret Society. And then I'm on YouTube as well, Lacy Phillips. I'm kind of everywhere. This year's been really quite big in that way. We're trying to like actually pare down the content because some people are like, I can't keep up. There's too much. But we're just like creative and trying stuff. And our whole mission every time is like, how our big thing is kind of like bushy in a way. It's like bush, but it's really meaningful. Like how to leave no manifestor behind. That's our mission. Like we want every single person manifesting wherever you're from.
I was like, bushy. Where's she going with this?
I know,
okay, got it. Okay.
You're like, yeah, got it.
Yeah.
And I think even this next year, we're really trying to translate. So Spanish will be the first language.
Oh,
the
dope.
programs, like really trying to make it accessible to anybody who wants, who I resonates with and wants this material.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah, I can't wait till, with online programs and stuff, there's more sort of effective AI where you can just like instantly translate anything to any language.
And like perfect, because a lot of them don't have
It'll come. We're getting closer, And even just, the transcription services, even 3 years ago, were way worse than they are now.
Rev.com's quite good.
Now they're like, they're decent. They're not perfect, but we'll get there. And then you'll be able to just like turn on any video and turn on your Translate app and like you get it in Czech or whatever.
Yeah, I can't wait. Yeah, it'll be like cool. Virtual.
Yeah, totally. Well, awesome. Well, thank you so much for joining me again.
Thank you so much.
And I look forward to diving into more of your work and manifesting some shit.
Yeah.
Thanks, Lacy.
Thank you.
I don't know about you, but after that conversation, I'm ready to generate some serious dinero moving into 2019 here. It's really fun to take the shame out of that desire and also to really, acknowledge the truth, the axiom that money doesn't make you happy. But I'll tell you what, if I'm going to be miserable, I'd much rather do so rich. You know what I'm saying? That said, I want to invite you to join me, as a student in Lacy's course. So again, go to freeandnative.com/Luke. And if you use the code Luke, you're going to save 10% off her already affordable manifestation courses. Now, as I said earlier, I'm doing Unblocked Opulence. That's the one that's really focused on money. And it's working, you know what I'm saying? It's happening. So I think it's great. It's a great goal to have and to really look at those preconceived ideas and those subconscious blocks we have to being abundant. I get a lot of this reflected back to me, by the way, from listeners to the show, because on many episodes, we talk about different health supplements, products, technologies, and things like that. And many of them are very expensive. And so people inside the Lifestylist Podcast Facebook group, which, hey, shout out, you should join that, obviously. And on social media, will say things like, well, that's fine for people to have the money, but I can't afford to get this thing or that thing or to eat organic or whatever the case may be. And not to be a smartass, but because this is just my truth, the first thing I always say to those people that say like, I want to do all the health stuff, but I can't afford it. I say, number one thing you need to do is work on that limited thinking and that scarcity thinking, that poverty thinking. And I'm speaking from experience because I lived in poverty thinking and limiting beliefs for much of my life. And it's only really been in the past, 20 years or so that I've been kind of undoing that. And specifically more, even in the past couple years, really, really working on expanding myself. So if you cringe when you hear me say that you have limited thinking, that you have a scarcity consciousness or poverty consciousness, if that triggers you, you probably have it. And I want to trigger you because I want to help you. I want to trigger you in the best sense because I want to trigger myself. The show is all about personal growth and personal development and taking responsibility. And that's what I love about Lacy's work. So if you want to join me, I guess you won't really bump into me in there. I guess I could join her Facebook group and then we'll study together. But if you want to get into the stuff Lacy's doing, it is awesome. I fully stand behind it. And just go to freeandnative.com/Luke. Enter the code Luke at checkout and you're going to save 10% off. And then on to our sponsors, the people that make this show possible. First one being Alitura Naturals. This is the stuff that keeps me young on the outside. Now, I take a lot of supplements, vitamins, biohacking. I do all the things. But what I do for my skin is Alitura Naturals. You can literally eat this stuff. Now, I wouldn't recommend it. It might not taste great, but that's how pure the ingredients are. So I use the night cream. I use the face lotion. Every once in a while, when I'm getting real wild and crazy, I'll do the clay mask. But Alitura Naturals is the chronic. It is the uncut dope of skincare. Yeah, that's what's up. So go to alituraNaturals.com. Did I just say that? Sometimes I say stuff on the mic and then I want to go back and delete it and go, that sounded weird. I can't say that. But I don't know. That just is what it is. It's the uncut. It's the chronic. It's not stepped on. That's what we used to say back in the day. Yo, that stuff is stepped on. This is not. Alitura Naturals is pure as hell. AlituraNaturals.com. And if you enter the code Lifestylist, you're going to save 20% off and get free shipping in the USA. So take care of that skin. Don't be putting toxic stuff on your skin. It goes right into your bloodstream. It's a bad scene. Next up, we've got Cured Nutrition. These guys make really high quality organic CBD products. They make, of course, the oils. You know, I love the way weed tastes personally, even though there's no weed, you know, in Cured Nutrition CBD, meaning that it's not psychoactive with the THC and all that stuff. So you don't take CBD and like put headphones on and listen to Pink Floyd, Dark Side of the Moon. It's not that kind of thing. It's really good for anti-inflammatory purposes, for sleep, relaxation, etc. Now, I like the oils. They have a mint one and they have kind of a natural, kind of, well, frankly, a skunky sort of weed tasting one. But what's really dope at Cured Nutrition, no pun intended, is that they have all these different spices and little snack foods and stuff that are delicious. And so you can get your CBD dose by eating something really tasty, like their gluten-free little cookie dough and all kinds of stuff they have over there. So if you want to get some CBD down the gullet, here's what you do. Go to curednutrition.com/The Lifestylist. And if you use the code Lifestylist, you'll save 10% off. That's curednutrition.com/The Lifestylist. Last, and oh my God, certainly not least, Altera Pure. The best organic sheets in the freaking world. I sleep with these things every night. In fact, now I have two comforters. I have kind of the summer comforter and the winter comforter. And I have the white Altera Pure duvet cover and also the, I don't know the official name, but it's like a slate gray. And they're both gorgeous, really high quality, completely non-toxic. If you could eat sheets, you could eat Altera Pure sheets. Now, don't get Altera Pure bedding and Alitura Naturals skincare products confused. I'm looking at my notes here and I'm like, are people going to trip out on that? They sound very similar. I guess Terra, is Latin for earth, world, perhaps. So, earthy products can have very similar names. But this is Altera Pure. ALTERRAPURE, alterapure.com for some amazing bedding. And if you use the code Lifestylist, you'll save 15%. And their stuff is already way too affordable, honestly. I keep meaning to reach out to them and be like, yo, you could raise your prices like 20% and no one would notice. But that's their thing. They're affordable. And especially when you use the code Lifestylist and save 15%. All right, here's what's up. We've got a very special episode this Friday. We've got a bonus show. Sometimes in December, I drop just tons of shows. Well, this Friday, we've got number 181. And that is the future of urban biohacking and wellness with Lily Kunin. And she is from a spot in New York that I just love called Clean Market. And you're going to learn how to biohack the city and all the health tricks she has up her sleeve. And then next Tuesday, back to our regular programming for a very special Christmas episode called The High Love Experience with yours truly live at Rama Institute in New York City. 181 with Lily Kunin, and then the High Love Experience special Christmas show next Tuesday. That's number 182 as we're getting close to wrapping up 2018. Make sure you subscribe to the show so you don't miss those upcoming episodes or any shows to follow. This episode of the Lifestylist Podcast was produced by podcastmasters.net.